Chapter 5136. Chun Feng waved his hand in a carefree manner, but his gaze was incomparably sincere. He was originally an extremely pure person. Since the other party treated him with sincerity, he would naturally treat the other party with sincerity as well. Moreover, he did not have many friends, and Di Baichen was one of them. Haha, in my opinion you guys don't need to thank each other. Isn't this how brothers should be? Murong Jinglang said with a smile. Hearing this, Di Baichen and Chun Feng looked at each other and smiled. No words were needed to express their understanding. On the flying magic tool, a group of cultivators gathered together. At this moment they were standing on the deck and looking in the direction of the exit. During this process there were cultivators coming out from the exit and landing on the deck continuously. However, as time passed, the exit started to close gradually. Everyone could not help but look around. The number of cultivators entering and exiting each time was not small. The teams from the Di family, Lin family, Murong family, and the Great Devil sect have yet to appear. The exit is about to close. Could it be that they can't make it in time? I remember that they have been guarding outside the ruins. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Baichen have yet to leave the ruins? I remember that the cultivators from the Bailey family seem to be with them as well. If they really can't make it out, that would be interesting. Everyone looked at each other. In their eyes, as long as they missed the opportunity to come out, they could basically treat the other party as if they did not exist. The strength of these four forces was not weak. If all the cultivators were annihilated in the Immortal Cloud secret domain, it would be shocking news. Jun Lingxuan looked at the exit that was getting smaller and smaller, and a trace of joy immediately appeared on his handsome face. This time, when he faced Di Baichen and the others, he was completely defeated. Therefore, he did not think that he could deal with them. However, if Di Baichen and the others were trapped in the Immortal Cloud secret domain and could not come out, then the heavens were really helping him. 10 years later, even if Di Baichen and the others were still alive, the outside world would have undergone tremendous changes. The Di family is really interesting. It would be interesting if they don't come out. Nangong Yuqing smirked. He was happy to see such a situation. However, when Chu Yingming heard this news, his brows furrowed. Just when everyone thought that it was impossible for the Di family to come out, a group of figures suddenly flew out from the entrance that was about to close. Ta-ta-ta. One figure after another landed on the deck. Who else could it be other than Di Baichen and the others? The smile on Jun Lingxuan's lips suddenly froze. He looked at Di Baichen and the others, who had appeared at the last moment, in astonishment. His gaze couldn't help but become gloomy. What a lucky bastard. Just a little bit more and the exit would be completely closed. The team leader who came to welcome the disciples back heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this scene. Although every time the Immortal Cloud secret realm was opened, there would always be a situation where the entire team would be wiped out. Although the Immortal Cloud secret domain was destroyed in the Immortal Cloud secret domain, the Di family, the Lin family, the Murong family, and the Great Devil sect were not ordinary forces. It would be a pity if all of them were left inside. After seeing this scene, all the cultivators present could not help but sigh. These guys were really lucky. I think that every time these guys appear they have to create quite a big commotion. Otherwise, they won't stop. Chapter 5137. After Di Baichen and the others landed on the deck, the exit closed. Di Xiaofeng and the others couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. We finally made it. If we were any later, we wouldn't have been able to come out. That means our timing was just right, haha. Murong Jing laughed. In fact, everyone was worried that they wouldn't be able to make it in time. Fortunately, the situation was much better than they thought. Jun Lingxuan and Xiao Sou looked at each other with complicated expressions. This wasn't something they wanted to see. We really got lucky. Nangong Yuqing rolled his eyes. Just a little bit more and he would have been able to get rid of this big problem without any effort. On the other hand, Chu Yingming's eyes lit up when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others appear. This is called the heavens are on our side. Murong Jing said indifferently as his gaze fell on Nangong Yuqing. Nangong Yuqing's voice wasn't soft, so they naturally heard it clearly. So what if we came out? Nangong Yuqing shrugged. We wasted half a year in the Immortal Cloud secret realm without any harvest. It won't be easy to catch up with others. I see that you didn't waste half a year and your strength didn't increase at all. Di Xiaofeng looked at Nangong Yuqing indifferently. He didn't care about the other party's ridicule at all. Although I didn't break through, I'm still stronger than before. Nangong Yuqing's lips curled up. There was a hint of pride between his brows. It's just training, so there will always be some harvest. If you only meditate and cultivate, you might as well stay in the family and cultivate. Why come out and waste your time? Fighting wasn't allowed on the flying magic artifact, so when Jun Lingxuan saw Nangong Yuqing start to talk, he couldn't bear to be left out. If they could fight here, he wouldn't be a match for the Di family. Naturally, he didn't dare to speak. Di Beichun, just because the two of you wanted to obtain an opportunity, you caused so many people to wait outside and waste half a year's time. Don't you feel ashamed? Jun Lingxuan looked at Di Beichun in ridicule. According to his thinking, even if Chun Feng had no objections, the other cultivators of the Great Devil sect should have already been dissatisfied. Di Beichun and Yi Shiwen had indeed saved everyone, but after half a year, it would be difficult for them to catch up with the cultivators who were at the same level as them. However, in the face of Jun Lingxuan and Nangong Yuqing's ridicule, the cultivators from the five forces remained calm. I'm not embarrassed, Di Beichun said with an indifferent expression. What's there to be embarrassed about? Looking at Di Beichun's unashamed and proud appearance, the other cultivators looked at each other in dismay. Although they knew that this matter had nothing to do with Di Beichun and Yi Shiwen, if it was anyone else who obtained this opportunity, they wouldn't have wasted it. Presumably, even they had only found out that the Great Devil sect and Murong family were waiting for them outside. However, no matter what, they should be somewhat apologetic. Di Beichun's attitude was indeed somewhat excessive. Speaking of which, it's strange. The cultivators of the Great Devil sect and Murong family don't seem to be dissatisfied. Instead, they seem to be very happy. Chapter 5138. How is that possible? I've never heard of anyone being able to get benefits from staying outside the relic. That's true. Everyone looked at each other, unable to understand. As the flying instrument began to fly, everyone walked in. In this 1 year of experience, everyone had experienced many thrilling things. Now that they had finally returned to a safe place, they just wanted to rest here. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were the same. At this moment, they just wanted to relax. Everyone did not stop and directly headed to the restaurant inside the flying instrument. In the past year, they hadn't eaten any good food, so naturally, everyone was craving for food. They were not the only ones. In fact, other than a small number of cultivators who were injured or too tired, most of the other cultivators were gathered here. If you ask me, the ones who gained the most this time should be Di Beichun and Bailey Hongzhuang. Of course, just by looking at the relic, you can tell that the owner of the relic is not ordinary. They must have gained a lot. The Verdant Flame Palace also gained a lot. Later on, they also found an inheritance. It's said that it's quite big. Everyone drank as they talked about their gains from this trip. The cultivators who had gained a lot had no intention of hiding it. Letting others know about their improvement and being envied was undoubtedly a great feeling. Speaking of which, everyone gained a lot in the Immortal Cloud Mystery Realm this time. However, there was one person who was the most unlucky. As soon as this was said, everyone looked at each other and immediately understood. I heard that out of all the cultivators who entered the Immortal Cloud Mystery Realm this time, only Chu Yingming did not advance. Shu, lower your voice. The man lowered his voice. Isn't it because of the injury from before? It's said that it hurt his foundation. If it can't be healed, his future will stop here. Hey, what are you talking about? Even though his voice was extremely low, it still did not escape the ears of the Chu clan cultivators. One of the Chu clan disciples immediately stood up and looked at him with dissatisfaction. Seeing this, the man curled his lips and did not continue speaking. It was fine to talk about something fun, but if he offended the Chu clan too much, there would be no benefits. Chu Yingming's face was gloomy the entire time. After staying for a moment, he left. Normally, he was an existence that no one could ignore. But now, because his foundation was damaged, everyone was looking at him with sympathy. It was easy to imagine how depressed he was. Seeing Chu Yingming leave, Di Beichun looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a smile that wasn't a smile. Wife, your foundation is damaged? There was a hint of playfulness and mockery in his tone. Naturally, he didn't believe such a statement. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled mischievously and rolled her round eyes. I think this title is pretty good, don't you think? It is indeed a good title. Chu Yingming must be in complete despair right now. Di Beichen chuckled. He naturally knew what his wife was capable of. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang had only treated Chu Yingming for a short period of time, she had been rejected in the blink of an eye. However, he knew very well that with Bailey Hongzhuang's ability, as long as she had the chance to touch him, she would have thousands of ways to poison him. Chapter 5139. Master, what did you do to make everyone think that Chu Yingming's foundation was damaged? Xiao Hei's eyes were filled with excitement and curiosity. She had always been curious about what her master had done to Chu Yingming. However, after entering the historical remnant, she had forgotten about this matter. Now that she heard everyone's reminder, she was even more curious. I did a little trick. In fact, I only used poison to prevent his cultivation from increasing. Thinking about it, it just so happened that he was seriously injured before, so everyone thought that his foundation was damaged. Bailey Hongzhuang faintly smiled. When she heard this news, she was also a bit surprised, but she quickly understood the whole story. She was happy to see such an outcome. Master, your methods are getting better and better. Xiao Hei's eyes were like stars as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with admiration. Then when Chu Yingming goes back, will he find out? Xiao Bai couldn't help but ask. That's not clear, Bailey Hongzhuang thought. That will depend on whether or not the doctor he finds is good enough. What if it's Dr. Wu? I'm afraid it'll be a bit difficult. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai looked at each other and immediately understood. Although they didn't know much about medicine, from the Di family's attitude towards Dr. Wu, they could see that Dr. Wu's medical skills were definitely top-notch. If even Dr. Wu had a hard time, then it would be difficult for Chu Yingming to find a way. Suddenly, they couldn't help but sympathize with Chu Yingming. What an unlucky person. Beichen Hongzhuang, what are you whispering about? Di Xiaofeng saw Di Beichen and Xiao Hei whispering and not drinking, so he couldn't help but ask. Nothing. Di Beichen smiled and raised his wine cup. Come. Haha, that's more like it. After 3 rounds of wine, Di Xiaofeng couldn't help but say, in my opinion, Chu Yingming's foundation has been damaged. He must be filled with hatred for Nangong Yuqing and Jun Lingxuan. If it weren't for the fact that they didn't allow Hongzhuang to treat them, they wouldn't have ended up in this situation, right? Isn't that good? After all, this matter has nothing to do with us. If it affects their relationship, we'll be happy to watch the show. Lin Taxing smiled. He liked to watch such a good show. Chu Yingming is actually quite unlucky. He had to join forces with Jun Lingxuan for no reason, which is why he ended up in his current situation. Lin Qianqian pursed her lips. If he hadn't teamed up with Jun Lingxuan to set us up, wouldn't everything have been fine? There's no medicine for regret in this world. You deserve it. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to the house, it was already late. Many people were dead drunk. After being tense for a year, they were finally able to relax. Everyone was a little unbridled. After returning to the house, Bailey Hongzhuang also had a good sleep. Although there was no danger in the ruins, they had been working hard to cultivate. After that, they had been on the road, so they were travel-worn. Now that they were finally on their way back, they naturally had to rest to be in a better state. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were resting, many cultivators were shocked by a piece of news. What did you say? You saw the Chaos Sacred Tablet outside the ruins? Chapter 5140. However, after a brief moment of shock, the crowd began to roll their eyes. Are you joking? This treasure has disappeared for many years. It's impossible for it to appear again. That's right, I've heard that this treasure has disappeared from the world a long time ago. The last time it appeared was hundreds of years ago. How could you possibly have come across it? Even if you want to boast, you should come up with something more reliable. Could it be that you're worried that we'll laugh at you for not having gained anything, so you've come up with such a lie? You've been outside the ruins, not inside it. Even if it had appeared, Only Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen would have the chance to comprehend it. How could this be? I'm telling the truth. It's up to you whether to believe me or not. The person who had spoken was a cultivator from the Murong family. After we'd stayed outside the palace for a while, the Chaos Sacred Tablet had appeared. Otherwise, why do you think that we've wasted half a year outside without anyone showing any dissatisfaction? Our gains are much greater than yours. The Murong family cultivator's face was filled with complacency. Previously, they had not even bothered to argue with these people. They were well aware of the benefits. What does it have to do with them how others see it? Hearing this, the crowd looked at each other in disbelief. If all of this was true, it would be too shocking. However, it was just as this cultivator had said. After half a year, anyone would have been dissatisfied. However, none of the cultivators from the other organizations had shown any signs of dissatisfaction. This was what they found the strangest. I just happen to know a disciple from the Great Devil sect and we have a pretty good relationship. I'll ask him later. You'd better be careful. If you're lying, you'll be exposed immediately. Go ahead and ask him. The Murong family disciple waved his hand as if he was not afraid at all. Seeing this, the man who had spoken looked deeply at him before walking towards the Great Devil sect's encampment. This was such a shocking piece of news and he had to get to the bottom of it. When the crowd saw this, they were not in a hurry to leave. Instead, they waited for the cultivator to return. Not long after, the cultivator returned. However, he had a complicated look on his face. How is it? Now you know that I'm telling the truth, right? The cultivator from the Murong family looked at the man proudly and said. For a moment, everyone's eyes turned to the man, wanting to know what the man's answer was. In the next second, under everyone's curious gazes, the man nodded. I've already confirmed it. This news is true. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire hall fell silent for a moment. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. This result was really a little too shocking. The Primal Chaos Saint Tablet actually appeared? This is a great opportunity. What kind of dog's hit luck do they have? You can even see such a treasure while staying outside the ruins? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have left back then. After that, I spent half a year in the immortal cloud mystic realm and searched for a long time, but I didn't find any opportunities. Instead, I encountered many dangers. An indescribable feeling of depression surfaced in everyone's hearts. This feeling was as if they had experienced all the calamities before, and when it was time to enjoy the fruits of their labor, they had left. Was this something a human could do? That kind of comprehension opportunity was something they dreamed of even in their dreams. Chapter 51-41. Actually, it makes sense if you think about it this way. Back then, 2 attribute bridges had appeared. In the end, only Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen managed to pass through. However, cultivators of the same attribute were given the opportunity to comprehend it. Based on this, we can see that the owner of the ruins is a kind person. Furthermore, she is of the light attribute. It's normal for her to make a decision that would benefit everyone. What a pity. We've gone through so many dangers for nothing. We've actually missed such a great opportunity. Heavens, quick! Tell me what's so great about the Chaos Sacred Tablet. All the cultivators in the Great Hall stared curiously at the cultivators from the Murong family. They had only heard of the Chaos Sacred Tablet before. Now they would be happy to have a better understanding of it. Seeing the eager looks on the crowd's faces, the cultivators from the Murong family were not stingy. They immediately described the situation with the Chaos Sacred Tablet, causing the crowd to gasp in amazement. The next day, when Bailey Hongzhuang and the others appeared before the crowd once again, they realized that many cultivators were looking at them with envy. The Di family is really lucky. Not only did Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang receive the inheritance from the ruins, the other cultivators also had the opportunity to comprehend the Chaos Sacred Tablet. They're really the biggest winners of this trial. I've heard that after comprehending the Chaos Sacred Tablet, the cultivators from the 5 organizations had practically all advanced a level in their powers. How enviable. That's very normal. After all, it's a precious treasure of the heavens and the earth. The rate of improvement is much faster than ordinary cultivation resources. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could not help but look at each other when they heard the crowd's discussion. They had not spread the news at all. How did so many people find out about it in the blink of an eye? Just as they were feeling puzzled, Murongjing's apologetic voice rang out. One of my family's disciples drank too much yesterday and got carried away in a moment of complacency. I'm really sorry. Murongjing felt a little helpless. When he saw the situation this morning, he was also rather astonished. After asking carefully, he realized that the source of the news was one of his own family's cultivators. He immediately pulled out that disciple. The man followed closely behind Murongjing. His face also had an apologetic yet nervous look. I drank too much yesterday. I'm really sorry. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and looked at each other, then laughed. Murong, it's not a big deal. Don't take it to heart. Di Xiaofeng's smile. I didn't say it yesterday because I was too lazy to be in the limelight. It's fine to say it now because it's the truth. The cultivator, who was originally very nervous, heaved a sigh of relief after hearing this. He was really worried that the young master would punish him. Really? Murongjing frowned slightly. He always felt that this matter was related to the inheritance of Di Bei-chan. After all, it was not good to talk about it. Xiao 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 yi xiao 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 xiao. Looking at Di Bei-chen's smiling appearance, Murongjing's heart was finally at ease. Hearing you say that, I'm relieved. In the next moment, he looked at the instigator of the incident. Every time you drink too much, you start spouting nonsense. You're not allowed to drink anymore. Yes, yes, yes. The man nodded, not daring to refute. Chapter 51-42. Compared to the joyous atmosphere of Di Beichen and the others, Jun Lingshuan, Xiao So, and Nangong Yuqing were in disbelief after hearing the news. What a joke! The day before, they were still rejoicing in other people's misfortune. With the exception of Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang, all the other cultivators had wasted half a year's time trying to arouse dissatisfaction with Di Beichen and Nangong Yuqing. However, they had never expected that the other party would obtain such a great opportunity. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but recall Di Beichen's calm appearance yesterday and immediately understood. The reason why the other party hadn't said anything was because he wanted to see their foolish expressions. They were being toyed with like monkeys. Thinking of the situation yesterday, they only felt a burst of pain in their cheeks. This was really too shameful. Xiao So gloomily looked at the smiling Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her. The light sacred tablet, the primal chaos sacred tablet, no matter which one it was, it proved that the owner of the ruins was definitely an expert of the light attribute. Originally, she thought that she would be able to obtain the inheritance, but she never thought that the one to obtain the inheritance would be Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't know how much the light attribute of Bailey Hongzhuang had improved after obtaining the inheritance, but she could roughly guess. She was really worried. If Bailey Hongzhuang were to compete with her for the position of the Light Saint, what would she do? Jun Lingshuan looked at the dazed Xiao So beside him and couldn't help but wave his hand in front of her eyes. So, what are you thinking about? After calling her several times, Xiao So came back to her senses and shook her head with a blank expression. Nothing. We are not their opponents here, but you don't need to worry. After we go back, we will think of a way. Jun Lingshuan lowered his voice and said. Hearing this, Xiao So couldn't help but raise her head and look at Jun Lingshuan's serious eyes. Don't worry, I won't let anyone steal your position as the Light Saint. Xiao So's eyes blossomed with hope and she immediately nodded. Fortunately, she had Jun Lingshuan's support. The Primal Chaos Sacred Tablet, these people are really lucky. Nangong Yuqing secretly spat. Although his face was filled with disdain, the jealousy in the depths of his eyes could not be concealed. Who wouldn't be envious of such a good opportunity? After eating breakfast, Bailey Hongzhuang returned to her room. If they wanted to go back, they would have to stay on this flying magic tool for a while. She planned to refine 2 batches of pills to try. Since everyone was planning to go into closed-door cultivation, if she could successfully refine the immortal spirit grass into a pill, it would undoubtedly be of great help to everyone. Moreover, this kind of treasure was a treasure to be used later. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was preparing to go into seclusion to refine pills, there was a sudden knock on the door. Opening of the door. Use you. Chu Yingming. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned and a trace of coldness appeared on her peerless face. What are you doing here? Hearing the commotion outside Bailey Hongzhuang's door, Di Beichen and the others all walked over. Seeing Chu Yingming suddenly appear, none of them had a good expression. Chu Yingming had obviously already expected that Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't be happy with him, but he had already made preparations. Bailey Hongzhuang, I know your medical skills are very high. I came here today to ask for your help. Chapter 51-43. Chu Yingming was not in the mood to care about other people's gazes now. The only thing he cared about was his body. This was related to his future. He was a selfish person who only valued benefits. Naturally, he knew that once he had no future, then his life was completely over. The reason why he obtained abundant cultivation resources in the family and had his current status was that he had unlimited potential. If he had no potential, it meant that his cultivation would stop there. It would not be long before his status would be replaced by other cultivators in the family. Over the years, he had desperately maintained everything. He absolutely could not accept it being taken away by others. I beg you to treat me. You can ask for any reward you need. I will never treat you badly. Chu Yingming's eyes were serious and sincere. Nothing was more important than his future. No matter what price he had to pay, he didn't care. Such a big movement immediately attracted a group of cultivators to come and watch. After all, whether it was the Chu family or the Di family, they were two behemoths. Everyone knew about Chu Yingming's situation these days, and Bailey Hongzhuang's medical skills were also obvious to everyone. Therefore, although the situation in front of them made everyone a little surprised, it was not surprising when they thought about it carefully. If it were them, they would not give up this hope. Chu Yingming actually came to ask second cousin-in-law for help. This is too surprising. Lin Yi's eyes were full of surprise. Chu Yingming is a flexible person, but I don't think Hongzhuang will agree. Lin Taxing raised his eyebrows slightly. According to his understanding, Bailey Hongzhuang was also a person with a temper. She promised to treat Chu Yingming before because of the situation. Now the situation was different. Bailey Hongzhuang would definitely not agree. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Chu Yingming faintly, but her tone was extremely indifferent. No treatment. As soon as these words came out, Chu Yingming's face suddenly stiffened. I am willing to give you all my gains in the immortal cloud secret realm. Then I won't treat him. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was cold, and her indifferent voice had a trace of coldness, without any warmth. Bailey Hongzhuang, Chu Yingming has already spoken like this, yet you still don't agree. Aren't you going too far? Jun Lingxuan leaned against the door with a provocative and playful look in his eyes. He seemed to be enjoying the show. That's right. Chu Yingming has already lowered himself like this. As a doctor, you should have a benevolent heart. Xiao Sou couldn't help but say. Lin Qianqian stood up. She was speechless. Why are you guys everywhere? Merciful heart. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly laughed out loud. If I remember correctly, it was you who stopped me from treating him, right? Back then you were the ones who stopped me. Now you're the ones who want me to treat you. What kind of nonsense is this? Is there such a good thing in this world? Besides, if you want to talk about being merciful, you shouldn't be merciful to someone who wants to kill you, right? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her phoenix eyes and shot a sharp and intimidating look at Xiao Sou. As the next holy maiden of the light, I haven't seen your merciful side yet. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xiao Sou's face suddenly turned ugly. Chapter 51-44. Jun Lingxuan, shut up. Chu Yingming coldly shouted, looking at the two with a trace of viciousness. Among all of them, the one he hated the most was Jun Lingxuan. If it wasn't for Jun Lingxuan, he wouldn't have offended Di Beichen and the others, and he wouldn't have fallen to such a state. The most hateful thing was that at this time, Jun Lingxuan still made sarcastic remarks. The anger in his heart could be imagined. Hearing Chu Yingming's words filled with disgust, Jun Lingxuan's face became even more unsightly. Bailey Hongzhuang originally wanted to treat Chu Yingming, but wasn't it because they said that Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't be trusted, so Chu Yingming wasn't treated? Isn't that right? If Chu Yingming's foundation is really damaged and can't recover, then it's their responsibility. If I were them, I would have already hidden far away. Yet they still dare to come here and make sarcastic remarks. Aren't they just looking for a scolding? The expressions of the Xiao family's cultivators suddenly became ugly. They only felt that they had lost face. They originally came to watch the show. They didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, the spearhead would be directed at them. Big sister, I think we should go back first. Xiao Sudong couldn't help but pull Xiao Sou's clothes. He felt that if they continued to stay, they would be targeted by the Chu family's cultivators. Xiao Sou and Jun Lingxuan looked at each other. The two of them didn't say anything, and directly retreated. Seeing this, the Di family and Lin family's cultivators couldn't help but sigh and laugh. Bailey Hongzhuang, I beg you. As long as you are willing to help me, regardless of whether it can be cured or not, I will always remember this kindness in my heart. Chu Yingming stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. Although he didn't understand medical skills, from the situation of Bailey Hongzhuang treating other cultivators, her medical skills were extraordinary. Therefore, he had to grasp every last bit of hope. Facing Chu Yingming's hopeful eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's attitude was still cold. I have a principle that I won't treat anyone who doesn't trust me. I didn't want to treat you before, but I was forced by the situation. Naturally, there's no need to mention it now. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang walked into the house. Take care, I won't see you out. But the door was mercilessly closed, leaving Chu Yingming standing outside with a gloomy expression. Actually, being rejected was within his expectations. However, he never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would reject him so resolutely, without even the slightest bit of hesitation. Even if he was willing to pay a higher price, the other party was still not moved at all. Looking at the tightly closed door, Chu Yingming's gaze gradually dimmed. He swept his gaze over the surrounding people before turning to leave. Everyone couldn't help but sigh as they looked at the figure shrouded in haze. I'm afraid that Chu Yingming really has no other way, so he thought of coming here to ask for help. Di Xiaofeng couldn't help but sigh. If his foundation is really destroyed, then it won't be long before we won't see Chu Yingming again. Right now, I feel that Jun Lingxuan and Xiao Sou are really troublemakers. If it weren't for them, Chu Yingming would probably still be very impressive. Lin Taxing sighed faintly. Life was like this. Sometimes when a wrong decision was made, one would have to pay a great price, and there might be no room for redemption in one's entire life. Chapter 51-45. Master, if Chu Yingming finds out that you've done something to him, wouldn't he die from anger? Xiao He jumped onto the table and stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. It was now admiring its master more and more. Her ability to twist right from wrong was simply admirable. Not only did she shift the blame to Xiao Sou and the others, but she also cleared herself of any involvement. From everyone's reaction, it was clear that no one suspected its master. Probably, Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow and said nonchalantly, she won't find out anyway. She didn't tell anyone else about this. Aside from Beichen and Xiren, no one else knew about this, so she wasn't worried about it being leaked. It turned out that she didn't mind being found out. She just thought that the effect of framing someone else was pretty good, so she chose to keep it a secret. That makes sense. Xiao He nodded in agreement. Ever since you've been with Master for so long, you've become more and more two-faced. Thank you for the compliment. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Your skin is getting thicker as well. Xiao He, have you been itching for a beating recently? No, I'm saying that you've become more and more powerful. Xiao He quickly waved its hand. It didn't want to be taught a lesson by its master. Right, Master, you've been in closed-door cultivation for so long. Why haven't you seen Baisher? Xiao He moved closer to Bailey Hongzhuang. Back then, Baisher had gone into the pet space to break through, so it hadn't seen him again. Now Baisher must have broken through to the nebula realm and could transform into a human. It was very curious what Baisher would look like after transforming into a human. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. That's right. Baisher has been in there for so long. He should have broken through a long time ago, right? Her ink-black phoenix eyes flickered with a thoughtful light. How long do you mystical beasts need to transform into a human? Xiao He was slightly taken aback. I haven't transformed into a human yet. Even if you ask me such a question, I don't know. You've already broken through to the nebula realm, so why can't you take human form? Upon hearing this, Xiao Hei's face fell. Master, you're really touching a sore spot. The original owner said that because Xiao Bai and I were created by them, we were different from ordinary demonic beasts in many ways. As for whether or not we can take human form, even the original master himself doesn't know. There was a trace of surprise in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. She had been cultivating in the light pool, and did not hear the conversation between Xiao Hei and Bai Yunjiao. After Xiao Hei finished speaking, she lowered her head. Her face was filled with disappointment. Previously, it had been hoping that it would have a chance to transform into a human form, but it did not expect that its hopes would be dashed. Little one, you're not fit to be sad. Bailey Hongzhuang stretched out her hand and stroked Xiao Hei's furry head. Actually, I think that it's good for you to stay like this. You're so cute. Xiao Hei suddenly raised her head. Blinking her eyes, they shone brightly. She asked excitedly, Master, do you really think that I'm cute? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Of course. You've always been very cute. Xiao Hei's little face instantly turned red. Her furry white fur was dyed crimson. It was extremely obvious. Chapter 51-46. Although Bailey Hongzhuang didn't know how to make Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai transform into human forms, she firmly believed that even if they didn't know about it, it didn't mean it didn't exist. Just because they hadn't found a way now didn't mean they wouldn't find one in the future. Hearing the deep concern in Bailey Hongzhuang's voice, Xiao Hei smiled happily. Master, as long as I can stay by your side, I don't care whether I'm in human or beast form. Bailey Hongzhuang pinched Xiao Hei's little cheeks as she tried to contact White Lion. She didn't know how long it would take for a monster to transform. She was afraid that she would disturb it if she took the initiative to contact it. However, she still decided to ask in the end. White Lion, have you succeeded in transforming? Master, I've succeeded. White Lion's voice was less childish and more magnetic. Hearing this familiar yet unfamiliar voice, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. She could make some deductions from this voice. Then why haven't you come out yet? Bailey Hongzhuang asked curiously. I could sense that Master had been in closed-door cultivation all this while, so I was waiting for you to contact me. As contracted beasts, they had a telepathic connection to begin with. To White Lion, staying in the pet space for a while longer was nothing. I see. Bailey Hongzhuang understood at once and sighed at White Lion's thoughtfulness. Then come out now. We're already on the flying magic artifact on our way back. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Let's see what you look like now. I'm really curious about what you look like now. Master, can you prepare a set of clothes for me? White Lion's voice was hesitant and awkward. Clearly, it felt very awkward about this question. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang understood at once. I forgot about that. Wait here, I'll go get the clothes from Beichen. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang headed to Di Beichen's room. Beichen, lend me a set of your clothes first. Bailey Hongzhuang extended her right hand and looked at Di Beichen with a smile. Di Beichen slapped Bailey Hongzhuang's hand and pulled her into his arms. Holding her soft waist that felt so good to the touch, Di Beichen leaned in closer and asked, Wife, why do you need men's clothes? I'm not telling you. Bailey Hongzhuang's exquisite face was filled with pride's beautiful. Be honest. S to give it S. Di Beichen paused and raised his brows. It looks like my wife is planning to do something with me tonight? Do something? What did you say? I can't be bothered with you. Bailey Hongzhuang hammered her chest and said, I won't joke with you. White Lion has already transformed into a human. I don't have men's clothes, so I can only come and get them from you. Hearing this, Di Beichen's lips curled into a smile. Baisher has already transformed into a human form. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, and the next moment, Baisher appeared in front of them. However, White Lion was still in his beast form. Di Beichen immediately took out a set of clothes and placed it on the table. Luckily, I have some new clothes here. You can change into them. Chapter 51-47. The two of them and the three beasties stood outside the door in anticipation. They really wanted to see White Lion in his human form. I hope White Lion is a handsome and elegant man. Xiao Xuanzi's eyes shone with anticipation. At least he's half as handsome as me. Xiao Xuanzi, you've become more and more shameless recently. Little White reached out and touched its head. If one were to talk about handsomeness, the White Lion was also extremely handsome in his beast form. That's because you don't understand. Xiao Xuanzi retorted. I'm definitely first class in our mystical fire demon rock, okay? Just take it that way. What do you mean take it that way? Xiao Xuanzi flew onto Xiao Bai's head in dissatisfaction. As the saying goes, like master like beast. Don't tell me you think the male master isn't handsome and elegant enough? Following Xiao Xuanzi's words, Di Beichen's gaze also turned to Xiao Bai. Little White was instantly stunned and hurriedly said, Of course master is handsome, suave and elegant. Di Beichen then retracted his gaze, and Xiao Bai quietly heaved a sigh of relief. Right at this moment, the tightly shut door suddenly opened. Immediately after, a tall and straight figure entered everyone's line of sight. The man wore a purple brocade robe embroidered with ink and bamboo, which made his handsome figure even more noble and imposing. His long white hair was soft and bright like silk. At this moment it was draped behind his head, casual but did not lose its elegance. His handsome and resolute facial features were sharp and angular, shining brilliantly, revealing a resolute and heroic spirit. His pair of light purple eyes were like gemstones, deep and charming, exuding a bewitching beauty. When he smiled, the corners of his lips curled up slightly with a lazy elegance. His every move exuded elegance and grandeur. At first glance, he was completely an exotic handsome man, making people unable to take their eyes off him. Wow! The three beasties could not help but exclaim. I thought that White Lion would become a muscular and handsome man. I didn't expect him to be so handsome. Xiao Hei stared at White Lion in a daze. This level of handsomeness is on the same level as the male master. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others agreed with Xiao Hei's words. The moment White Lion walked out, he attracted everyone's attention. Oh my god, White Lion, you're so cool. Xiao Xuanzi excitedly flew onto Baisher's shoulder. Now it seems that you and I are equally handsome. Baisher looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen. His handsome and devilish face was a little shy and stiff. This was the first time he had shown himself as a human, so he wasn't used to it. Master White Lion, you're really too good looking. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes sparkled with excitement, and she couldn't stop smiling. Even though she had already guessed that White Lion would be extremely handsome in his human form, seeing it with her own eyes still gave her an indescribable shock. This was the first time she had seen such a bewitching and mysterious charm. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's praise, the stiffness on White Lion's face dissipated a little, and a smile appeared on his face. His smile instantly became even more beautiful. From now on, I'll have two handsome men by my side. Just thinking about it makes me so happy. Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but sigh. Her eyes were filled with a smug smile. Di Beichen looked at the little woman beside him who was getting carried away, and quietly reached out to pull her to his side. Chapter 51-48. Baisher was slightly taken aback. He rubbed his head out of habit and asked in confusion, Huh? Bailey Hongzhuang sized Baisher up with a smile. She never thought that this little cutie would be so handsome after transforming into a human. Thinking of how domineering she would look with Di Beichen and Baisher by her side, she thought of how domineering she would be when she walked out. She knew that she would definitely become the object of envy of countless women. After all, not everyone could have such luck with women. Actually, it's nothing much. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled blissfully. Baisher has always been with me anyway. Wife, come in with me. I have something to tell you. Huh. Before Bailey Hongzhuang could say anything, Di Beichen pulled her away. Baisher, the four of you should have a good gathering. We'll talk about the rest tomorrow. As soon as he finished speaking, the door slammed shut. Beichen, what do you want to talk to me about? Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but ask. I haven't finished talking to Baisher and the rest. Before she could finish speaking, Di Beichen pressed Bailey Hongzhuang against the wall. With one hand against the wall and the other around her waist, he restrained her so that she could not move at all. Bailey Hongzhuang stared at Di Beichen in a daze. In the next second, Di Beichen's lips blocked all her words in her throat. His sexy thin lips were domineering and passionate. They were like a violent storm, yet they carried a unique gentleness. After being stunned for a short while, Bailey Hongzhuang lost herself in this passionate passion. The atmosphere gradually became ambiguous. Di Beichen only released her when he sensed that the little woman in his arms was out of breath. Lowering his head, Di Beichen looked at the delicate little face with blushing cheeks and a slightly dazed gaze. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, looking devilishly charming. "Wife, I feel like you're quite free tonight." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled guiltily. "Actually, it's not that bad. Then your husband will help you find something to do." The corners of Di Beichen's lips curled up, and his handsome face became even more enchanting. His nimble hands had already begun to move. Where are my clothes? I just took it off when I felt it was in the way. White Lion and the others might still be waiting for us. It's okay. They've all grown up. They'll understand. What about Xiao Xuanzi? Ignore it. In another room, the four beasts looked at each other, not understanding what was going on. Why do I feel like there was something wrong with the atmosphere just now? Xiao Hei scratched its head, but it could not pinpoint exactly what was wrong. I don't know either. Xiao Bai was a little puzzled. It doesn't seem like anything happened. Forget it, forget it. It's too difficult for us to think about how humans think. Xiao Hei waved its hand, and its gaze landed on White Lion. White Lion, you're so good-looking. Are you planning to find a human or a beast as your wife in the future? Xiao Hei, don't tell me you've taken a fancy to White Lion? Xiao Xuanzi asked with a smile. White Lion is so handsome. Which beast wouldn't like him? Xiao Bai touched its face and its eyes kept blinking. The way I bullied you in the past was just an illusion. I'm actually very gentle and kind. Chapter 51-49. You've already transformed into a human. Of course you have to find someone. If you really can't do it, you have to find a demonic beast that can transform into a human. Xiao Bai said seriously. Bai Shi looked at Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai in front of him in confusion. You guys are thinking too much. Forget it, I'd better go and cultivate. Think so too. Xiao Xuanzi nodded and immediately followed Bai Shi into the house. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang only woke up when the sun was high in the sky. She raised her head and looked at Di Beichen, who was sitting at the table with a smile on his face. She could not help but pout. It was all because of this guy that she had to rest in bed for so long. However, the initiator of all this acted as if nothing had happened. She felt so unbalanced. Wife, you're up, Di Beichen said with concern as he took a sip of tea. A devilish smile appeared on his handsome face. Humph, Bailey Hongzhuang snorted coldly. I'll ignore you. I'll ignore you. Seeing this, Di Beichen put down his teacup and walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. He planted a kiss on her lips and said with a smile, Looks like my wife still wants to accompany your husband tonight. Otherwise, why would you be so shy? Husband. Chapter 51-50. Alright, don't be so resentful. Bailey Hongzhuang reached out and pinched Xiao Hei's chubby little face. When you transform into human form in the future, I'll give you a nice-sounding name. Alright? Xiao Hei looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with teary eyes. Master, are you sure you're comforting me? Bailey Hongzhuang felt guilty. I think so. Initially, Bailey Hongzhuang had intended to introduce Yen Che to everyone immediately. However, after some thought, she decided to wait until she had made a decision. If it was possible, she did not intend to let everyone know that Yen Che was a demon beast who had transformed into human form. Although this was the truth and was not a big deal, she still did not want to be gossiped about as soon as he appeared. After that, Bailey Hongzhuang entered closed-door cultivation to refine pills while the four beasts began to cultivate in peace. Ever since they had seen Bai Shi transform into human form, Xiao Hei, Xiao Bai, and Xiao Xuanzi seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. Usually, Xiao He and Xiao Bai liked to slack off and enjoy the show. In comparison, Bai Shi and Xiao Xuanzi were more hardworking in their cultivation. Therefore, Bailey Hongzhuang was rather surprised when Xiao He and Xiao Bai had taken the initiative to enter closed-door cultivation. However, she quickly understood that Xiao He and Xiao Bai were also hoping to transform into human form. Although she did not know what cultivation level they had to reach before they had the possibility of transforming into human form, the higher their cultivation level, the greater the possibility. Inside the house, Bailey Hongzhuang took out the immortal spirit herbs and looked at Jun Lingshuan's ring that Bai Shi had picked up earlier. She then put all the immortal spirit herbs together. Fortunately, this treasure had not ended up in Jun Lingshuan's hands. Otherwise, it would have been a reckless waste of God's gift. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang entered the Chaos Ring. Refining in the Chaos Ring was undoubtedly the quietest. There was no need to worry about being disturbed. She didn't immediately start concocting the immortal herbs, but started concocting other pills. Concocting pills also required a sense of touch. Ever since she entered the immortal cloud mystic realm, she had not concocted pills for a long time. She did not want to waste even a single stalk of immortal spiritual grass. Half a month later, Bailey Hongzhuang finally came out of the Chaos Ring. "Wife, you're done." Di Beichen smiled as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. After he felt the fluctuation of aura, he immediately exited his cultivation state. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. "You're lucky. My wife is competing with strength." Bailey Hongzhuang's red lips curved into a smile. "I've only refined a portion of it, but it's enough for everyone. Then let's go. I'm sure everyone will be very happy to see you." Di Beichen's eyes were filled with tenderness. He reached out and carried Bailey Hongzhuang to sit on his lap. "You can rest for a while too. You're so busy every day. Isn't it tiring?" Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and pecked Di Beichen on the lips. "When we return, I'll cultivate with you in the room, all right?" "All right." Di Beichen nodded. "But I'll have to collect some interest first." In the next moment, Di Beichen deepened the kiss. When Di Xiaofeng saw Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen, a trace of shock surfaced in his eyes. "You've come out of seclusion?" Di Beichen nodded. Chapter 51-51. Di Xiaofeng smiled faintly. "I was originally in closed-door cultivation, but there's a small trade fair these 2 days, so I came out to take a look." "A small trade fair?" Di Beichen raised his eyebrows and asked. This time, everyone more or less gained something in the immortal cloud secret realm, so after someone suggested it, everyone agreed. Through this small trade fair, you can exchange for what you need. Of course, whether the trade will be successful or not is another matter, but it's good to watch the show and see who gained more things. Di Xiaofeng's expression was a bit playful. In the end, this small trade fair is another way to show off. After arriving at this flying magic tool, everyone is basically safe and doesn't have to worry about danger or robbery. Even after arriving at Waterqi City, people from the various large clans will come to pick them up, so there's no need to worry about danger. So, taking this opportunity to show off your gains is undoubtedly very satisfying. Following Di Xiaofeng's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Xiaofeng immediately understood. So the trade wasn't the main point, but bragging was. "So the success rate of this trade fair isn't high?" Di Beichen said faintly. "That's right." Di Xiaofeng nodded. "But there are some that succeed, but it's relatively rare. After all, this is a barter. Unless the other party happens to have something they want, it's hard to make a deal." "Then let's go take a look." Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled up. Since they had nothing to do now, they might as well go and watch the show. "That's right, since you guys just came out of closed-door cultivation, it's good to go and watch the show. Who knows, you might really find something you like." As Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Xiaofeng followed Di Xiaofeng to the location of the small trade fair, they realized that there were places everywhere on this flying magic tool. Obviously, this small trade fair had a long history, and it wasn't the first time it was held. "Hongzhuang, over here." As soon as they arrived, Bailey Hongzhuang saw Lin Qianqian sitting not far away and waving at her. There were a few empty seats beside her, which were clearly left behind on purpose. Seeing Lin Qianqian greet Hongzhuang, Di Xiaofeng couldn't help but feel helpless. Hongzhuang's position has completely replaced mine now. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. It's always easy to get close between women. That's true. Di Xiaofeng nodded. But you're not just to women, you're also in the eyes of men. Thank you for the compliment. My wife's ability has always been outstanding. Di Beichan raised his eyebrows slightly, his words revealing a bit of pride. Di Xiaofeng glanced at Di Beichan. I'm not praising you. What's the difference? She is my wife. Di Beichan said matter-of-factly. And my wife's skin is thin. Go away. Di Xiaofeng waved his hand speechlessly. Can you not show off your love in front of me? I'm reminding you to bring your wife home early so that your family won't worry. After Bailey Hongzhuang sat down, Lin Qianqian and Lin Yi hurriedly came over. When they didn't know Bailey Hongzhuang, they still had some misunderstandings in their hearts, but as they gradually understood, there was only admiration in their hearts. Chapter 51-52. Second cousin-in-law, I wanted to look for you before, but I knew that you were in close cultivation, so I didn't bother you. Lin Yi smiled and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Did you just come out of close cultivation? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Yeah, I wanted to look for you when I came out. I happened to meet my big brother. He said that there was a small trade fair, so we came over. I see. Lin Qianqian understood. Is there anything you need from us? There is something. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, looked around again and said, I will tell you when we go back. Lin Qianqian naturally knew that this was not a good time to talk, so they nodded, okay. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang appear, Chu Yingming's expression became very complicated. When he thought about how he put down his dignity to ask for help a few days ago, but was still rejected, he also felt ashamed. However, at this time he was no longer in the mood to hate Bailey Hongzhuang. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't do anything wrong in this regard. If it were him, he would also refuse. Young master, this Bailey Hongzhuang is too unappreciative. You have already given her such good conditions, but she still doesn't agree. Chu Xianzi said with dissatisfaction. Chu Yingming shook his head. In the end, I made the wrong decision before. If I didn't believe in Jun Lingxuan, things wouldn't have come to this point. Seeing the change in Chu Yingming's attitude, Chu Xianzi was a little puzzled. Big brother? What's wrong with you? Xianzi, we have to see the situation clearly. The talents of Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang are amazing. You have seen their means this time. If it weren't for the wrong decision, I wouldn't have chosen to offend them at all. Chu Yingming's eyes sank slightly, and his determined face showed wisdom. He was a person who only valued benefits, but he was not a person who was blindly arrogant. Therefore he could calm down and look at all this. Big brother, if it weren't for them, your jade toad wouldn't have been crippled like this. Chu Xianzi had an incredulous look on his face. In his opinion, Di Beichen and the others were their enemies. They are indeed very strong, but we are not necessarily afraid of them. No, I have a feeling that there's no benefit in being their enemy. Chu Yingming's voice was filled with certainty. In short, if we can avoid provoking them, then we shouldn't provoke them. They aren't the type of people who actively seek trouble. Seeing this, Chu Xianzi sighed. Big brother, what about your injuries? Forget it. Let's wait until we get back and find a doctor. Chu Yingming sighed, clearly unwilling to bring up this topic again. Bailey Hongzhuang also noticed Chu Yingming's gaze. After a glance, she withdrew her gaze. Hongzhuang, I heard that Chu Yingming went to see Dr. Sun a while ago, but the results didn't seem to be good. Lin Qianqian raised her eyebrows. He deserves it. Dr. Sun. Lin Qianqian nodded. Because every time we leave the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, cultivators will be injured, so there will always be a doctor accompanying us when we go back. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately understood. She was indeed very considerate. Chapter 51-53. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Chu Yingming indifferently. She did not feel any sympathy for him. The reason why Chu Yingming ended up like this was because of his own choice. If he had not wanted to deal with them back then, he would not have ended up in such a situation. Just as everyone was talking, a figure suddenly appeared on the circular stage in the center. Everyone was very familiar with this figure. He was the deacon who would lead everyone back this time, Deacon Zheng. Deacon Zheng looked at the group of young cultivators sitting below the stage and spoke in a loud and dignified voice. Although this small trade fair was proposed by everyone at the last minute, as the deacon who would lead the team, I still have to say a few rules. The trade fair will be conducted according to one's preferences. The cultivators will first introduce their own items, and then state what they want to exchange. The cultivators who want to exchange can send their items over through the conveyor belt. The person who wants to exchange can then choose whether or not they want to exchange. This trade fair does not allow signs of forced transactions. Furthermore, the items that the person who is exchanging are also not allowed to be publicized. If anyone does not abide by the rules, don't blame me for being rude. Deacon Zheng's gaze swept across everyone present. Feeling his sharp gaze, a trace of fear quietly appeared on everyone's faces. As the deacon who would lead the team, he was very capable. If anyone dared to disobey the rules, their family would definitely be punished. It would be difficult for them to enter the immortal cloud secret realm next time. Therefore, no cultivator would choose to cause trouble at this time. After Bailey Hongzhuang heard the trade method, a trace of astonishment appeared in her eyes. Normal trades were not like this. In that case, other than the two parties who chose to exchange, no one would know what the other party was exchanging. Not every cultivator is willing to show their treasures to others. This method is also to protect privacy. Lin Taxing explained. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Although this was the first time she had encountered such a method, she felt that it was very good. Very soon, a cultivator walked up to him. I have a piece of Star Ocean Essence Iron here. It can be used to forge magic weapons. There's no need to say more about its effects. A proud smile appeared on the man's face. A fist-sized piece of Star Ocean Essence Iron appeared in everyone's sight. The black stone reflected specks of light, like a sea of stars. Everyone's eyes lit up when they saw the Star Ocean Essence Iron. Any cultivator who knew a little about refining would know how rare this Star Ocean Essence Iron was. When refining weapons, as long as a little Star Ocean Essence Iron was added, the power of the weapon would increase by a level. The fist-sized Star Ocean Essence Iron in the other party's hand was truly extremely precious. Immediately, everyone's hearts burned with passion. Their gazes were tightly focused on the Star Ocean Essence Iron, wishing that they could immediately take it into their pockets. I want to exchange for a body cultivation technique. However, as soon as the man finished speaking, everyone frowned. Most cultivators paid attention to the improvement of their cultivation base. There were very few body tempering techniques, let alone a body tempering technique that was worthy of this Star Sea Essence Iron. Thus, the crowd could only sigh and feast their eyes on it. The man was not surprised to see this result. After confirming that no one could replace him, he walked off the stage. Chapter 51-54. What a pity. That Star Ocean Iron Essence is a good treasure. Bailey Union could not help but sigh. Everyone would want such a treasure. Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng smiled. Don't even think about it. That's a member of the Qin clan. The Qin clan specializes in weapon refinement. He would never take out such a treasure to exchange. The reason why he stood up now was just to show off his gains. The Star Ocean Iron Essence is a rare treasure. It seems that he has gained a lot in the Immortal Cloud secret realm. I see. Bailey Union immediately understood. Although she was a cultivator from the Bailey family, she did not have much experience in such activities. Hence, she only understood after Di Xiaofeng's explanation. After the cultivator from the Qin clan left the stage, a few more cultivators went up one after another. Unsurprisingly, the items that were taken out were all first-class treasures. The crowd below the stage could not help but feel envious when they saw the treasures. No matter what kind of treasure it was, it would be fought over on a normal day. Through this process, everyone realized how many treasures there were in the Immortal Cloud secret realm. Even though it was only opened once every 10 years, there were still many treasures that had not been discovered yet. Of course, the most abundant were various spiritual herbs. After all, the immortal cloud secret realm had always been famous for various spiritual herbs. Many of the spiritual herbs were rarely seen in the outside world. Bailey Hongzhuang also saw many precious spiritual herbs. Fortunately, she had gained a lot this time as well. Hence, she was able to remain calm. Similarly, a few cultivators also succeeded in the exchange. However, no one knew what the other party was going to use in exchange for it. The cultivators who succeeded in the exchange were all smiling. To be able to succeed in the exchange under such circumstances, it was clear that the other party had taken out something that they were satisfied with. Similarly, if the cultivator took out something that was too inferior and did not match the value of the other party's item, they would also be laughed at by the crowd. At this moment, the item that a cultivator took out attracted Bailey Hongzhuang's attention. "I have 3 spirit beast fruits here." Following the man's words, everyone's eyes instantly focused on him. The spiritual beast fruit had no effect on humans, but it was quite useful to demonic beasts. It was able to help demonic beasts increase their aptitude and speed up their cultivation. This kind of treasure was undoubtedly very important to cultivators who had contracted beasts. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but look at Di Beichen, and then her eyes fell on Xiao Xuanzi. As a beast king, the white lion's aptitude naturally went without saying after its bloodline power had been upgraded. Xiao He and Xiao Bai's cultivation talents were equally outstanding. If not for the fact that the two of them were usually a little lazy, their cultivation levels would be even higher than now. Therefore, the one who needed to be improved the most was Xiao Xuanzi. Naturally, Xiao Xuanzi also felt the gazes of the two people. He immediately smiled, and his eyes flashed with an expectant light. The spirit beast fruit was a treasure that demonic beasts loved the most. If it could obtain a beast spirit fruit, its strength would be greatly enhanced. However, Xiao Xuanzi only thought about it for a moment before withdrawing his expectant gaze. After all, it was extremely difficult to trade for the beast spirit fruit here. Chapter 51-55. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Luo, but many of the cultivators present were also looking forward to it. As a cultivator, it was not easy to raise one's own strength. If a demonic beast could also possess powerful strength, it would undoubtedly be extremely good. At the very least, he would have an additional helper that he could completely trust. "I haven't thought of what I want to exchange for yet. If anyone thinks that there is something of value, you are welcome to exchange it with me." The man's face was filled with a faint smile as he looked calmly at the crowd below the stage. "Master, you can do that?" Xiao Bai could not help but ask in surprise. Di Beichen looked at Di Xiaofeng and Di Xiaofeng immediately explained, "This is indeed possible. Some cultivators are just aimless. Of course, this method can easily lead to unexpected gains. However, 3 beast spirit fruits are very valuable. Ordinary items really can't be exchanged for them." Di Xiaofeng sighed. Everything that appeared here were good treasures. However, it was not easy to exchange for them. Speaking of this trip to the immortal cloud secret realm, his greatest gain was the increase in his own strength. His other gains could not be compared to these guys. Zhang Wenyan saw that the crowd was somewhat conflicted and said, "The 3 beast spirit fruits can also be exchanged separately." As soon as he said that, the cultivators who were still hesitating immediately became restless. It was difficult to have treasures that could be exchanged for 3 beast spirit fruits at the same time. However, if it was only one fruit, everyone still had some assets. Almost at the next moment, a cultivator had already walked up to the stage and placed the item that he had chosen to exchange on the conveyor belt. Everyone's gaze was focused on it. After seeing the treasure, Zhang Wenyan did not choose to exchange for it. When he saw that his treasure was returned, he understood the result. However, he did not say much and walked down the stage. After this cultivator walked down the stage, a few other cultivators walked up one after another. Unsurprisingly, they all returned empty-handed. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly. It seems that Zhang Wenyan has high standards. So many people did not take out any treasures that caught his eye. The Jiang family that Zhang Wenyan belongs to is not ordinary. They have been passed down for many years and their foundation is shocking. Jiang Wenyan is also the most outstanding genius of the Jiang family. He has abundant cultivation resources. I'm afraid that ordinary items will not catch his eye. That's right. Lin Taxing nodded. If it is not a rare treasure, he will not exchange it. At this moment, a cultivator from the Qin family stood up again. He did not choose to trade through the teleportation array, but asked directly, Jiang Wenyan, how about I use the star sea iron essence to trade for these 3 spirit beast fruits? As Lin Feng said this, the crowd could not help but sigh. The star's the same spirit star. The star's stars exchanges the spirit beast spirit. After Jiang Wenyan heard this, a trace of hesitation flashed through his eyes. In the end, he shook his head and said, Brother Qin, your star ocean essence iron is indeed a treasure. It's a pity that I'm not good at refining. Hearing this, the cultivators of the Qin family felt somewhat helpless. However, Jiang Wenyan's attitude was extremely good. He laughed heartily all over the place. It's all right. If Brother Jiang wants to trade in the future, you can come to me anytime. Chapter 51-56. Everyone sighed when they saw that the Star Ocean Essence Iron was not successfully traded. The 3 beast spirit fruits are indeed valuable. If I could get them, my contracted beast would be able to evolve again. Maybe not only would it evolve, but its bloodline power would also be enhanced, and it would have greater potential for development. It's a pity that I don't think anyone will be able to trade for it today. Jiang Wenyan's gaze swept across the crowd before he cupped his fists and smiled. It seems that I won't be able to trade today. Sorry for disturbing you. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Jiang Wenyan's polite appearance, her heart somewhat surprised. Although they were all disciples of aristocratic families and it was necessary to be polite, it was obvious that Jiang Wenyan was a very gentlemanly person. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang walked up to the stage in front of everyone's astonished eyes. The D family's Bailey Hongzhuang has gone up. So many people have failed. Could it be that she has a treasure more valuable than the Star Ocean Essence Iron? That's hard to say. After all, she obtained the inheritance from the ruins. She might have a very precious treasure. The cultivator's eyes were filled with anticipation. They also wanted to know what kind of treasure Bailey Hongzhuang would take out. Di Xiaofeng was surprised. Beichen, what is Hongzhuang planning to trade for it? Di Beichen smiled. Hongzhuang has her own plans. Could it be the immortal spirit herb? Di Xiaofeng's eyes were filled with thoughts, however. Although the immortal spirit herb is valuable, the success rate of refining it into a pill is not high. It requires an extremely skilled alchemist to refine it, and the success rate is not guaranteed. To ask the Alchemist Guild's high-level alchemist to refine the pill, the price is not small. If it's just the immortal spirit herb, it would be difficult to trade for the beast spirit fruit. Unless it's the immortal spirit pill. Although they had obtained many immortal spirit herbs, Di Xiaofeng judged that Bailey Hongzhuang would not take out several immortal spirit herbs to trade. After all, such a treasure would be of great use to their family. Jiang Wenyan had originally planned to leave, but after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang appear, his footsteps also stopped. Miss Bailey. An elegant smile appeared on Jiang Wenyan's handsome face. His gaze was unusually gentle. Not for other reasons but because Bailey Hongzhuang was also his savior, so he was naturally grateful. I didn't think that Miss Bailey would be interested in this spirit beast fruit as well. At this moment, I shall give this spirit beast fruit to Miss Bailey as a token of my gratitude for your help back then. Jiang Wenyan handed a beast spirit fruit to Bailey Hongzhuang. Actually, this one has always wanted to find an opportunity to thank you all. I hope you don't mind. Jiang Wenyan's actions had clearly exceeded everyone's expectations. Instantly, everyone was stunned. Di Xiaofeng and the others also looked at each other, and their impression of Jiang Wenyan improved. I didn't expect Jiang Wenyan to be such a nice person. Lin Taxing couldn't help but sigh, but a smile appeared on his face. Among so many forces, no one is like him. Di Xiaofeng nodded slightly. That's right. No wonder Jiang Wenyan is so popular in their family. He is truly a modest gentleman. Since you and Beichen have already found someone you like, Jiang Wenyan has been promoted to become the object of many women's hearts. Chapter 51-57. When the crowd saw that Jiang Wenyan was willing to give the beast spirit fruit to Bailey Hongzhuang, they were all dumbfounded. This Jiang Wenyan is really evil. He's actually willing to give the beast spirit fruit to Bailey Hongzhuang just like that. The D clan has really struck it rich this time. The spirit beast fruit itself is a rare treasure. Every time it appears in an auction, it will be fought over by various major forces. If one does not have the opportunity, it will not be easy to find one. Based on what I can see, Bailey Hongzhuang is standing there with this intention in mind. There was a tinge of jealousy in their envious voices. How could they not be envious of Bailey Hongzhuang for being able to obtain the treasure that everyone wanted so easily? However, just as the crowd was sighing, Bailey Hongzhuang's actions exceeded everyone's expectations. Thank you for your kind intentions, Sir Jiang. However, I cannot accept this beast spirit fruit. Jiang Wenyan was shocked. Why? Previously in the Divine Cloud Secret Realm we may have helped you, Sir Jiang, but it was also for our own protection. If I were to take such a precious treasure from you because of this, it would be very inappropriate. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a small smile. Without waiting for Jiang Wenyan to reject her, she continued, since I'm standing here, I naturally intend to exchange my treasures. Jiang Wenyan's gaze changed when he saw the other party's serious expression, which did not seem to be an act. Instantly, the smile on his face grew even more radiant. I've underestimated you, Miss Bailey. I'm truly sorry. A sense of shame surfaced in Jiang Wenyan's heart. In the face of Bailey Hongzhuang's open and aboveboard manner, he felt that his previous actions were rather inappropriate. Clearly, the other party was not the type to take advantage of others. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Sir Jiang, you're being too courteous. Why are you apologizing? By the way, this is the treasure that I've chosen to exchange. You can decide after you've seen it. Bailey Hongzhuang placed the item on the conveyor belt and appeared in front of Jiang Wenyan in the next moment. Jiang Wenyan had already decided that no matter what Bailey Hongzhuang brought out in exchange, he would be willing to use a spirit beast fruit to exchange for it. However, when he saw what was in front of him, he could not help but be shocked. Miss Bailey, is this true? Although the crowd could not see what Bailey Hongzhuang had taken out, they knew that the item Bailey Hongzhuang had taken out was not simple after seeing the change in Jiang Wenyan's expression. Otherwise, Jiang Wenyan would definitely not reveal such an expression. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded, her voice calm and certain. That's right, it's true. Jiang Wenyan took a deep breath. Looking at the brocade box in front of him, his hands trembled slightly. Immortal Spirit Pill, this was truly a rare pill. Not to mention the fact that immortal spiritual herbs were hard to find, and the failure rate of concocting was extremely high. Trying to find an immortal spiritual pill was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Even with the Zhang family's power, it would be extremely difficult to find one. He had never even considered the possibility of having an immortal spiritual pill. However, this immortal spiritual pill was now right in front of him. As long as he took the immortal spiritual pill, his potential would increase. This was a benefit that no other pill could compare to. Chapter 51-58. Although the beast spirit fruit was usually hard to find, it was still possible to find it in some secret realms. However, immortal spiritual pills were the real priceless ones. In the next moment, Jiang Wenyan handed all 3 beast spirit fruits to Bailey Hongzhuang without hesitation. Thank you, Miss Bailey. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the 3 beast spirit fruits in front of her, and did not find it strange at all. The value of the immortal spirit pill was indeed worth it. When everyone saw that Jiang Wenyan had handed all 3 beast spirit fruits to Bailey Hongzhuang, their eyes were filled with shock. It can't be? In the end, what did Bailey Hongzhuang take out in exchange for Jiang Wenyan to willingly give up all 3 spirit beast fruits? Jiang Wenyan didn't look reluctant at all. On the contrary, he was extremely happy. as if he had picked up a great bargain. What could be more precious than the Star Ocean Iron Essence? Judging from Di Xiaofeng and the others' expressions, they didn't seem to know what Bailey Hongzhuang had offered. Di Xiaofeng and the others looked at each other. They had been very surprised when Bailey Hongzhuang had rejected the offer, and the subsequent change had surprised them even more. It seems that we have underestimated the treasures on Hongzhuang's body. Lin Taxing could not help but chuckle as he joked. Di Xiaofeng nodded. Indeed, Hongzhuang may be the richest in our group. Isn't that so? Lin Qianqian agreed. Hongzhuang is the deacon of the Alchemists Guild. If it wasn't for the fact that she had just arrived in the upper realm, she would be even richer. Soon Bailey Hongzhuang walked down from the high platform. Shangguan Yingying could not help but ask, Hongzhuang, what did you offer in exchange? Take a guess? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows and chuckled. I can't make a guess. Shangguan Yingying frowned. Every once in a while, new treasures would appear on Hongzhuang's body. She really could not tell. Hongzhuang, let me guess. Lin Qianqian's eyes lit up. Could it be the treasure we obtained in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm? It was obvious that Lin Qianqian did not want others to know what she was talking about. However, Bailey Hongzhuang naturally understood what she meant. No. Lin Qianqian sighed. It's not you. But the two are related. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. She had no intention of hiding what she was going to exchange. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Di Xiaofeng and the others couldn't help but look at each other. Their pupils instantly widened, revealing astonishment and shock. Since the two were related, the first thing they thought of was the immortal spirit pill. However, this grade of medicinal pill was extremely difficult to refine in the first place, and the success rate was another matter altogether. They knew that Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy skills were very strong, but they never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang could really refine it. This news was simply too shocking. Second cousin, you are too amazing, Lin Yi said in a daze. Her clear eyes were filled with excitement and admiration. Di Xiaofeng and the others also agreed. They were still thinking about how to deal with the immortal spirit grass after going back. Although there were two alchemists in the family, it was still difficult for them to successfully refine it with their abilities. However, if they wanted to ask other alchemy masters to refine it, they didn't know the price. Chapter 51-59. Following that, many precious treasures appeared, causing everyone's hearts to itch uncontrollably. However, if they wanted to exchange for such treasures, it was obviously impossible if the items they brought out were not rare enough. During this process, the Chu family and the Nangong family had successfully exchanged items. On the other hand, the Xiao family had kept a low profile. As for the Jun family, it was needless to say. The Jun family originally had very few cultivators. After going through the dangers of the Immortal Cloud's secret territory, they had completely integrated into the Xiao family's team and could be ignored. After obtaining the 3 beast spirit fruits, Bailey Hongzhuang did not have any other thoughts. Although there were many treasures, it was impossible for all of them to fall into her hands. She was already very lucky to be able to exchange for the treasures she needed the most. After the small trade fair ended, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to their residence. Di Xiaofeng and the others did not return to their rooms directly. Instead, they gathered in Di Beichen's room. Hongzhuang, did you really refine the immortal spiritual pill? As soon as he entered the room, Di Xiaofeng could not help but ask the question in his heart. He was simply too curious. After hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's answer, he had been wanting to confirm this point. Not only him, but Lin Taxing and the others also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, their eyes sparkling with anticipation. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her small head gently. Her rose-colored lips slightly raised. It's true. Hearing this news, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They were really worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would say no. In the next moment, a trace of joy appeared on everyone's faces. Hongzhuang actually managed to refine the immortal spiritual pill. That's really amazing. No wonder Zhang Wenyan was willing to hand over the 3 beast spirit fruits. Compared to the beast spirit fruits, the immortal spiritual pill is undoubtedly more helpful to him. Mo Yunjue immediately understood. Since Jiang Wenyan was willing to hand over the 3 beast spirit fruits, it meant that his contracted beasts no longer needed them. Of course, he would not hesitate to use such things to exchange for the treasures he desperately needed. Big brother, this is for you. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a few crystal bottles and handed them to Di Xiaofeng. While I was in seclusion, I concocted quite a few immortal spirit pills. It just so happens that we still have some time before we return to Water Prayer City. With these immortal spirit pills, everyone will be able to cultivate better. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of everyone present froze. Time seemed to have stopped as everyone stared at Bailey Hongzhuang in disbelief, as if they had heard the most impossible thing in the world. Hongzhuang, you've concocted more than one immortal spirit pill? Why did he concoct so many immortal pills? Di Xiaofeng couldn't help but raise his voice. He felt that this world was too scary. According to his understanding, the success rate of refining immortal spirit pills was extremely low. It was already very difficult for Bailey Hongzhuang to refine one. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had placed a few bottles of pills in his hands. Yeah. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded matter-of-factly. I took a look and there were enough pills for everyone to share. That's why I came out. Lin Taxing couldn't help but scratch his head. In the face of this situation, he really didn't know what to say. Wasn't it said that immortal spiritual pills were very difficult to refine? Why did Bailey Hongzhuang's words sound like cabbages that could be picked up in baskets? This didn't make sense. Not only Lin Taxing but Lin Qianqian and the others were also filled with the same thought. Chapter 5160. Lin Yi couldn't help but express her inner feelings. She felt that her second cousin-in-law was simply a legend. This young man's medical skills were already so exquisite. It was really too shocking. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she wouldn't have believed that there was someone so powerful. Listening to Lin Yi's words, everyone couldn't help but nod. They had the same idea in their hearts. Hongzhuang is really amazing. Hongzhuang. Then Beichen and I will distribute this medicinal pill. Di Xiaofeng's face was filled with a warm and bright smile. This was the credit of Hongzhuang and Beichen. Okay. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded with a smile. Everyone didn't stay in the house for a long time. After getting the immortal spirit pill, they couldn't wait to retreat. Naturally, the sooner they took this kind of medicinal pill to improve aptitude, the better. This way they could spend less effort on cultivation later. Di Beichen also left. The number of cultivators from the Di family this time was not small. Now that he was the young master of the Di family, it was undoubtedly more appropriate for him to distribute this medicinal pill. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang was also in a good mood. When I first came to the upper realm, I was worried that it would be difficult for Beichen to return to the family. I didn't expect everything to go so smoothly. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed with a chuckle. Xiao He sat on the table, facing Bailey Hongzhuang's delicate face. She imitated Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance, holding her cheeks with both hands. Yes, the male master's family is very good. Now, after this trip to the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm, everyone knows his ability. Of course, they won't have any opinions. I see that everyone is very supportive of the elder brother. You don't have to worry about it in the future. Bai Lianche's face bloomed with a devilish smile. He entered the Chaos Ring previously and didn't come back until everyone left. Ever since Bailey Hongzhuang recognized him as her younger brother, Bai Lianche changed the way he addressed Di Beichen. After all, he was no longer in his demonic beast form, so this name was more appropriate. Not long after Di Beichen returned, from the slight smile on his face, one could tell that he was in a very good mood. Beichen, is everything done? Di Beichen nodded. Everyone has basically started their closed-door training. Mistress. Little Xuanzi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang embarrassedly. It flapped its wings, and its eyes were full of excitement and expectation. Upon seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but chuckle. She immediately took out a beast spirit fruit and handed it to Xiao Xuanzi. Take it, it's yours. Looking at the round and translucent spirit beast fruit, Xiao Xuanzi had an intoxicated expression as he excitedly flew to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Mistress, you're the best. Bailey Hongzhuang stroked its head and proudly raised her eyebrows. It's good that you know. I know, I've always known. Xiao Xuanzi nodded like a chick pecking at rice, excited. Di Beichen pulled Xiao Xuanzi, who had been sticking to Bailey Hongzhuang, to the side. Quickly go into the chaos ring and go into closed-door training. After sending away the clingy Xiao Xuanzi, Di Beichen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Wife, are you thinking of looking for Xiren and Yingying? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile. Her originally delicate face became even more beautiful. You know me the best. Of course. Di Beichen pulled Bailey Hongzhuang's small hand and slowly walked towards the door. Then let's go quickly. If we're late, I'm afraid that Xiren and the rest have already started their closed-door training. Beichen Hongzhuang, why are you here? Shangguan Yingying opened the door and saw the two people in front of her. She was happy but also a little surprised. Chapter 51-61. Hongzhuang has something for you. Di Beichen went straight to the point as soon as he stepped through the door. Shangguan Yingying and Wen Xiren looked at each other before their gazes landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. Then Bailey Hongzhuang took out 2 beast spirit fruits. These are for you. Looking at the 2 juicy beast spirit fruits, a smile appeared on Shangguan Yingying and Wen Xinya's faces. Then I won't stand on ceremony with you. Thank you. Shangguan Yingying blinked. Of course. Bailey Hongzhuang smirked. Why are you standing on ceremony with us? Brother, you've given us so many benefits. It looks like we'll have to hand our lives over to you. When Xiren looked at Di Beichen teasingly and laughed. Di Beichen shrugged. Ever since you insisted on going on adventures with me when we were young, your lives have already been handed over to me. It's been so many years and you still can't change your routine. I'm already yours. What else do you want? When Xiren rolled his eyes. But you're so rich. Who else can I rely on if not you? Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Now that they and Wen Xiren had already become a family, they didn't even bother to exchange pleasantries with each other. Xiao Xuanzi has already gone into closed-door cultivation. The wild earth-shattering tiger and the deep-sea demonic dragon should be able to improve significantly with these beast spirit fruits, Di Beichen said slowly. When Xiren nodded. They've been cultivating in the pet space recently. I guess they've been stimulated by Baishur and the others. They're all contracted beasts, but there's a huge difference in their strength. When they were in the lower realm, the contracted beasts of the surrounding cultivators were not too powerful. Hence, the wild earth-shattering tiger and the deep-sea demonic dragon did not feel much pressure. However, ever since they came to the upper realm and witnessed all sorts of powerful beings in the divine cloud's secret realm, they were stimulated and became more diligent in their cultivation. It's good to give them some stimulation so that they can improve faster. Di Beichen's eyes were calm. The berserk earth-splitting tiger and the deep-sea demonic flood dragon are both very powerful races. Although the growth process is a bit difficult, once they grow up, they will be a great help. That's why I want to thank you for these 2 spirit beast fruits. Xiren raised the spirit beast fruit in his hand and smiled. Shangguan Yingying glanced at Wen Xiren before looking at Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, no matter what happens, you always think of us. I really don't know how to thank you. Don't be so courteous since we're sisters. Haven't you been helping us all this time? Hongzhuang, actually we have also obtained some rewards from the immortal cloud secret realm. Shangguan Yingying smiled mysteriously. In the next moment, a book appeared in her hand. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was a little surprised. What's this? This is an inheritance that Xiren and I found in the immortal cloud secret realm. Shangguan Yingying replied. Previously we couldn't find you all, right? During the process we also found some spiritual herbs. We found this in a very hidden place in the middle of the spiritual herbs. Xiren and I have studied it. This should be real. Take a look. Bailey Hongzhuang took a closer look and realized that it was actually the rune technique. Rune technique? Di Beichen was a little surprised. It said that the inheritance of the rune technique has been lost for a long time. I didn't expect you to find a book that recorded it. Chapter 5162. The things recorded on it are obscure and hard to understand, but they are mysterious and powerful. I have pondered for a while, but I only managed to get a grasp of it. Both of you are smart and have strong comprehension abilities. Why don't you try comprehending it? When Xiren looked at Di Beichen and Shangguan Ying, I heard you talk about the last time Xiao Sou crushed the escape talisman and left. I feel that this talisman technique is quite powerful. If we can learn this talisman technique, it would be quite good. Originally, we wanted to give it to you, but there were too many people in the Immortal Cloud secret realm, so we didn't have the chance. After coming back, you immediately went into closed-door cultivation. If you didn't come to find us, we would have gone to find you. Shangguan Ying smiled and took out a Qingkuan bag and handed it to Bailey Hongzhuang. These are the spiritual herbs we harvested. They are all for you. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't stand on ceremony and directly took the Qingkuan bag. When the time comes, just tell me if you need any pills. Okay. The talisman technique is indeed a treasure. Since you are interested, why don't you study it first? Di Beichen slowly said. You don't know about this. When Xiren chuckled and pointed to the book in his hand, don't be fooled by the fact that this book is made of paper. It is very magical. Once you read it, the contents will automatically enter your mind. However, after Ying and I read it once, we found that the words on the book were getting fainter and fainter. I'm afraid that it won't be able to withstand a few people reading it. Since we already know the contents, you can imprint it in your mind. It won't be too late to study it in the future. In my opinion, if you want to understand this talisman technique, it won't be done in a short period of time. Bailey Hongzhuang and Shangguan Ying finally understood and sighed in their hearts. I didn't think that this book would have the same effect as the Jade Slip, and it is even more powerful than the Jade Slip. The contents of the Jade Slip can only be read once by a cultivator, but this book can be read by a few people. Bailey Hongzhuang opened the book. As expected, the words on the book had faded. She only took a glance and the contents of the book directly entered her mind. Subconsciously, she closed her eyes. Complex and profound information rushed into her mind. Fortunately, her knowledge sea was extremely strong now, so she quickly recovered. After Bailey Hongzhuang read it, the content of the book became even fainter. Di Beichen took the book and memorized its contents. However, after the two of them took a look, the words on the book had completely disappeared, leaving only the white paper behind. This thing is really amazing. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the blank book in her hand and suddenly realized that she could print the content she wanted to write into the book. She suddenly felt that it was interesting. This book is quite good as an inheritance in the future. If you like it, then you can keep it. Di Beichen said in a gentle voice. After this experience, I feel that when I have time, I should learn more abilities in other aspects. Shangguan Ying sighed, mastering more abilities, I will have more means when I go out. This time, if it weren't for you, we would really be finished. Chapter 5163. Looking at Xiren's envious expression, Di Beichen couldn't help but chuckle. Weren't you worried about me when you first found out that I was a dark-type cultivator? That's because I didn't know you were such a pervert. Xiren looked calm. Look at what everyone says. Dark-type cultivators in the upper realm have always been discriminated against, but when it comes to you, the situation has changed. Didn't you already know that Di Beichen is a pervert? Shangguan Ying glanced at Xiren. I think no matter what happens to them, there's no need to worry too much. There'll always be a solution. Is that what you said back then? Xiren looked at Shangguan Ying quietly. Why did he remember that Shangguan Ying was even more anxious than he was back then? Ahem. Shangguan Ying coughed softly and looked to the side. She said guiltily, I'm suddenly thirsty. I'll drink a cup of tea. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other with smiles in their eyes. It wasn't just Xiren. They remembered very clearly that when Shangguan Yingying first found out about this, she was even more anxious than Xiren. However, they didn't plan to expose her. Not long after, Bailey Hongzhuang and Shangguan Yingying returned to the house. Since they had obtained the immortal spirit pill, they naturally had to consume it as soon as possible. The immortal spirit pill could increase a cultivator's aptitude and remove impurities from the body. It was extremely suitable for any cultivator. Time passed by in seclusion. Little Xuanzi returned to the pet space. He had made up his mind. With the beast spirit fruit, he had to improve as soon as possible. Otherwise, with his master's current strength, he wouldn't be able to help whenever he was in danger. Thinking back to when he was able to help in the divine cloud realm, that was the feeling he craved the most. Of course, he also hoped that he could break through to the nebula stage as soon as possible. Then, he could transform into a human. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen also began their seclusion at the same time. Looking at the perfectly round pill that was emitting a fresh medicinal fragrance, Bailey Hongzhuang put it into her mouth without hesitation. The immortal spirit pill melted in her mouth, turning into a rich medicinal power that surged into her body. This was an extremely pure energy. Bailey Hongzhuang felt as if her limbs and bones had become active under the surge of this energy. When this energy had completely spread out, Bailey Hongzhuang's she frowned. Under the influence of the medicine, the impurities in his body began to be expelled. But still, there were still pill toxins and other impurities in the end. The effect of the immortal spirit pill was to thoroughly remove the impurities in a cultivator's body. This way, the cultivator's body would be more suitable for cultivation. Previously, in the pool of light in the divine cloud realm, the impurities in her body had already been removed once. This time, after taking the immortal spirit pill, it should be even more thorough. Although the result of removing the impurities was excellent, the process was very torturous. This feeling was as if someone was hammering every cell in her body, removing the tiniest impurities. In fact, it wasn't just Bailey Hongzhuang. The cultivators from the Di family and the Lin family were all in the same situation. The immortal spirit herb was discovered by all of them. Naturally, everyone should have a share of the immortal spirit pill. Chapter 5164. In reality, when the cultivators from the Di family and the Lin family received the immortal spiritual pills, they were also extremely shocked. They could not believe that this was all real. Even though they had discovered the immortal spiritual herb together, they knew how rare the immortal spiritual pill was. Therefore, they felt that it was already good enough that they would be given some other cultivation resources when they returned to their families. They did not expect that the immortal spiritual pill would actually fall into their hands. This feeling was no different from a pie falling from the sky. They had suddenly been hit by a stroke of luck. One immortal spiritual pill was enough for them to exchange for any cultivation resources they wanted. However, no one would choose to exchange it. This was because the immortal spiritual pill was the most precious treasure. When Bailey Hongzhuang exited her cultivation, the first thing she did was to take a shower. She had to admit that every time she purged the impurities from her body, the smell was extremely unpleasant. However, as the impurities in her body were reduced, it was much better than the first time she had undergone the cleansing. It was because of this that she had chosen not to go into closed-door cultivation with Di Beichen. Otherwise, even she could not stand the smell. If it appeared in front of Di Beichen, it would be even more unbearable for her. When Bailey Hongzhuang came out, she realized that Di Beichen had already finished his closed-door cultivation. It looked as if he had been waiting for her to come out. Di Beichen, when did you come out of closed-door cultivation? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled as she sat beside Di Beichen. She casually picked up the food on the table and started eating. After purging the impurities from her body, she felt as if she was about to starve to death. Not long before you, Di Beichen smiled. I knew that you would definitely feel hungry, so I prepared food for you. Hearing those magnetic and heartwarming words, Bailey Hongzhuang, who was eating, smiled brightly. Hubby, every time I see you being so considerate, I feel that my luck is really good. It looks like my wife really feels that she is very lucky every moment. Di Beichen reached out and stroked Bailey Hongzhuang's soft and smooth hair. After all, your husband has always been so considerate. Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned for a moment. Then her smile became even brighter. That's right. Have you gone out to take a look? Is everyone out of seclusion? Di Beichen shook his head slightly. I'm afraid it will take a while for everyone to come out. You're right. Bailey Hongzhuang understood. She and Beichen had already experienced it once in the ruins, so the process now was naturally much simpler. The other cultivators would need to spend more time. Then what do you plan to do now? I plan to take a look on the deck. Di Beichen said slowly, we're already used to cultivating on the deck. There won't be any danger. I have the same idea. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Previously, after cultivating on the deck, their physical strength had improved. Since they still had the chance, it wouldn't be bad to train again. When they returned to Qishui City, they might be able to improve again. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen returned to the deck, they saw that familiar figure as expected. Chun Feng? Di Beichen raised his eyebrows. Although he was asking, his voice was very calm. In fact, when he chose to come to the deck, he had already guessed that Chun Feng would be here. This guy was also a cultivation maniac. Chapter 5165. I finally understand why you're so strong. You really don't let go of any opportunity to improve. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but sigh. When he didn't know Chun Feng, he didn't feel it. Now that he knew Chun Feng, he admired him even more. Hearing that, Chun Feng chuckled. If someone else said that about me, I wouldn't care. However, I don't dare to accept your praise. If we're talking about diligence, you too should be even more diligent. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Tiange hadn't returned to the deck during this time, he knew that they definitely didn't let go of any opportunity to cultivate. Coming from the lower realm, they were able to stand out among so many cultivators. This was enough to prove their diligence. In the past, he had always been very confident. Every time he went out, he was undoubtedly the number one. However, ever since Di Beichen appeared, he felt a sense of urgency. If he didn't seize the time to improve himself, he wouldn't be able to keep his position. Same to you. The three of them looked at each other and smiled. Only then did they sit down and cultivate. The gale clearly blew past, bringing with it a sharp pain. However, the three of them acted as if nothing had happened. However, as the three of them cultivated for a longer time, the number of cultivators on the deck gradually increased. Mo Yunjue was the fourth to arrive on the deck. When he saw Di Beichen and the other two, he was also somewhat surprised. However, he quickly blended in with them. Immediately after, Shangguan Yingying and Xiren also arrived on the deck. They originally planned to study runes first. However, after thinking that they would only have such a good opportunity to train their bodies on this flying artifact, they naturally didn't want to miss it. Therefore, they decided to come on the deck. In any case, when they returned, they would have plenty of time to study it. Time gradually passed in this process. They were also getting closer and closer to Qishui City. Today was an extremely lively day in Qishui City. All the major powers that were participating in the Immortal Cloud Secret Zone were gathered here. Today is the day that the young master and the rest return. I wonder how their harvest in the Immortal Cloud Secret Zone was? A faint smile appeared on Di Hengyun's face. He was actually not too worried. This time, a lot of people from his family entered. As long as they cooperated with others and didn't encounter too much trouble, there shouldn't be too big of a problem. I hope it'll be good. Great Elder Emperor Chu Yuan's eyes were filled with anticipation. In the blink of an eye, it's already time for them to come out. I only hope that they can all return safely. Di Yun he sighed when he heard that. Of course, their biggest wish was to come back safely. However, they knew that as long as they entered, there would be casualties. It was unavoidable. The elders of various forces had gathered here and were chatting in twos and threes. Their faces were filled with joy and anticipation. Of course, there were also some elders who were worried. When the disciples of the smaller sects entered the immortal cloud's secret realm, they would face greater risks than the disciples of the bigger sections. Regarding this, they felt very helpless. But even so, they couldn't give up just like that. This was because this was a good opportunity to improve the strength of the clan's disciples. If they missed this opportunity, the progress of the clan's disciples would be even slower. Chapter 51-66. As Di Hongyun's voice fell, Di Chu and Yuan both turned to look at something not far away. Sure enough, Jun Xianxiao was standing there with his head raised in anticipation. A faint trace of worry could be seen on his face. Usually, whenever we gather together, Jun Xianxiao will try his best to stand by our side. I didn't expect him to stand so far away this time. He must be avoiding us on purpose. Di Yunhe sneered. The competition between the two sides had never stopped over the years. They were already used to Jun Xuanxiao's way of doing things. However, the situation was different this time. Di Chuan glanced at Jun Xianxiao. Since there is such an opportunity, we can't miss it. He remembered clearly how proud Jun Xianxiao was when he thought that their family didn't have an 8th-grade alchemist. He wanted to trample them under his feet. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth had always been his style. Jun Xianxiao wanted to hide from them this time, but he wouldn't let him do as he wished. Let's go. Hearing Di Chiyuan's words, Di Hongyun and Di Yunhe exchanged glances with each other as a knowing smile appeared in their eyes. Jun Xianxiao was waiting for the flying device to arrive quickly. This time their family only managed to get 10 places, and they had to do everything they could to get them from the Xiao family. Jun Xianxiao had never encountered such a situation in the history of the Jun family. He felt very helpless. Since Jun Lingxuan and the others entered, he had been very worried. After all, the number of people was too small. If some of them met the Di family's cultivators, they would be in big trouble. Great Elder, you don't have to worry. Our family has already joined forces with the Xiao family. If there is really trouble in the Immortal Cloud's secret territory, Xiao Shou and the others won't sit by and do nothing. The second elder couldn't help but say. He knew the Great Elder's worries, but he didn't think it would be so bad. Hearing this, Jun Xianxiao nodded. I hope so. Although he knew that the Xiao family had joined forces with them, he couldn't help but worry. He didn't know why, but he always had a bad feeling. Just as they were talking, Jun Xianxiao suddenly found that Di Chuan and the others had appeared beside him. Elder Jun, you didn't take the initiative to look for trouble this time. This isn't in line with your usual style. A mocking voice rang out. That person looked at Jun Xianxiao indifferently. His face was filled with mockery and ridicule. Jun Xuanxiao's face suddenly darkened. He coldly glanced at Di Chuan. Di Chuan, I don't want to talk nonsense with you today. Normally we don't want to talk nonsense with you, but there are always people who don't have eyes and come knocking on our door. What do you think? Di Chuan raised his eyebrows slightly. His gaze was calm, but in Jun Xuanxiao's eyes it was extremely hateful. Don't try to fool me. You were just lucky this time. We'll see in the future. Jun Xianxiao glared fiercely at Di Chuan. His roar was filled with anger. Elder Jun, you're too impatient. There are so many people here. You should pay attention to your status, Di Yun, he couldn't help but say. Chapter 51-67. Jun Xianxiao, I'm just reminding you out of kindness. Di Chiyuan's face was full of smiles, but his voice was cold and chilling. Actually, only 10 cultivators from your family entered. Judging from the danger level of the Immortal Cloud Mystery Land, they might have all been wiped out. You have to be mentally prepared. Otherwise, when you hear the news, you won't be able to bear it and pass out. That would be bad. As Di Chiyuan's voice fell, Jun Xuanxiao's face turned red in an instant. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like an angry lion. You don't have to worry about that. Don't think that you'll be fine just because you have more cultivators in your family. If you're unlucky, you might encounter a great danger and be wiped out. If all the cultivators in our family are wiped out, won't the cultivators in your family be even more so? Di Chuan didn't care about his anger at all. In fact, the more unhappy he was, the happier he was. After all, the Jun family had been trying to replace the Di family all these years. They deserved it. However, in the face of Di Chuan's words, Jun Xianxiao didn't know what to say. Because even he knew that it was the truth. It's impossible for all the cultivators in our family to be wiped out. You just wait and see. The second elder's face was also full of anger. He looked at the Di family fiercely, and his words were full of confidence. Wait for us later. When the young master and the others come out, you'll know. Jun Xianxiao nodded. You just wait and see. Then we'll wait and see. Di Yunha's eyes were full of disbelief. Looking at the other party's proud face, Jun Xianxiao felt like he was about to explode. However, he couldn't explode on the spot, so he could only hold it in. The surrounding forces also looked at each other after noticing this scene. The Di family and the Jun family had been enemies for a long time. So this situation wasn't unexpected. In fact, every time the two sides appeared, they were at each other's throats. They had never eased up. Not long after, the huge flying magic tool appeared in everyone's line of sight. With the appearance of the flying device, a smile appeared on everyone's face. After waiting for so long, it was finally here. Soon, the flying magic tool stopped at the shore. Look, there are already people on the deck. Many elders with sharp eyes noticed the silhouettes on the flying magic tool. So they immediately spoke out. Isn't that Chan Feng from the Great Devil sect? That's right, it's him. The other two look like the young master and young madam of your family. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were extremely beautiful, so most people would never forget them after seeing them. Therefore, with just a glance, he was able to recognize it. Di Chuan and the others' eyes lit up when they heard this. They immediately looked at the deck. As expected, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's bodies and minds were so eye-catching. Immediately they felt relieved. Although they had always been quite confident, as long as they had not seen it with their own eyes, they could not help but feel a little worried. Although they had only seen the two of them, they were already relieved. It really is the young master and his wife. Di Yunha's face was full of smiles, and the cultivators behind him were also very happy. Chapter 5168. Jun Xianxiao, it seems like your fantasy has been shattered. Di Chuan glanced at Jun Xianxiao indifferently. Although his voice was very calm, Jun Xianxiao could hear his complacency and pride. So many people from your family went, and now only a few of you are on the deck. What is there to be proud of? Maybe you were pushed out. Jun Xuanxiao's face was cold, but his words were full of jealousy. Elder Jun, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that Chan Feng from the Great Devil sect was also pushed out? The elder of the Great Devil sect quickly walked over when he saw Chan Feng. When he passed by Jun Xianxiao, he heard his words, and his face immediately collapsed. Jun Xianxiao was stunned when he heard this. When he turned around and saw the elder of the Great Devil sect, he was embarrassed and hurriedly explained, I didn't mean that. I hope you didn't mean that, humph. The elder of the Great Devil sect snorted coldly, turned around and left. Obviously, Jun Xuanxiao's words made him very unhappy. Jun Xianxiao was speechless as he looked at the elder's back. He didn't notice Chan Feng at all, and he didn't expect the people of the Great Devil sect to be nearby. Suddenly such a conflict happened. He was really helpless. Di Chuan chuckled, thinking that Jun Xianxiao also had such a day. When Jun Xianxiao thought that victory was in his hands, he was so arrogant in front of him. Every dog has its day. Who would have thought that their young master's wife would have such ability? In my opinion, the young master and Chan Feng from the Great Devil sect are probably using the wind to temper their bodies on the deck. Di Yunha's voice slowly sounded. As an elder, he naturally had some understanding of the situation. In fact, everyone had always known that staying on the deck would help cultivators improve. However, it was one thing to say and another to do it. Even though everyone knew this, there were very few cultivators who could actually do it. That might be the case. Di Hongyun's voice was somewhat hesitant. However, the process is very torturous. After the flying magic tool successfully stopped, the cultivators in the flying magic tool also knew that they had finally arrived at Chishui City. One after another, they walked up from the deck. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were undoubtedly the first to know about this. They had already seen the crowd from afar. Beichen, look. Bailey Hongzhuang pointed ahead. First Elder and the others are already waiting for us. Looking in the direction that Bailey Hongzhuang was pointing at, Di Beichen and the others saw the Great Elder and the others as expected. Smiles appeared on their faces. In the blink of an eye, we have already left for such a long time. What a pity, Shangguan Yingying could not help but say. Although we've been on a flying celestial artifact these days, I still miss the feeling of being on the ground. Xiren chuckled. Let's go, let's get down quickly. At the same time, Di Xiaofeng, Lin Taxing and the others also walked to Di Beichen's side. They greeted each other and got off the flying celestial device together. First young master and the others are all there. Di Hongyun's face was full of surprise. Although only a part of the cultivators could be seen, judging from the situation, there were not many casualties this time. Chapter 5169. All the major forces were looking for their own cultivators from the figures that appeared on the flying celestial devices, and the Jun family was no exception. Why haven't we seen the young master yet? The second elder of the Jun family looked for Jun Lingxuan and the others for a long time, and a trace of worry appeared on his face. Don't worry. There are still many people who haven't come out yet. Jun Xianxiao said slowly. He was also anxious, but he didn't want Di Chuyuan and the others to find out. Seeing this, Di Yunhe couldn't help but joke. It seems that your family is really wiped out this time. When you go back, I'm afraid you'll have to support a new young master. Yunhe, stop talking nonsense. The Jun family is not like what you said. Jun Moxie retorted. Jun Xianxiao shouted coldly, and his serious face was full of anger. The next moment, he noticed that Jun Lingxuan had finally appeared in front of him, and he immediately relaxed. Di Yunhe, didn't you just say that our family was wiped out? It seems that your hope has also been dashed. Second young master quickly followed up and said, Look carefully, our young master has already come out. Di Yunhe turned around and saw Jun Lingxuan and Xiao Shou. He narrowed his eyes and said, It seems that Xiao Shou and Jun Lingxuan are really together. Hearing Di Yunhe's words, Di Chuyuan and the others also noticed the situation in front of them, and they immediately frowned. In fact, they had always known that Jun Lingxuan was pursuing Xiao Shou, but they didn't expect that the two of them would progress so quickly. No wonder the Xiao family gave 10 places to them. It seems that they have already regarded Jun Lingxuan as their son-in-law. Di Hongyun snorted coldly. They're really quick to fall in love with someone else. Di Chuan, you're right. Our Jun family has replaced your family and become friends with the Xiao family. Xiao Shou and our young master are the real couple. Jun Xianxiao immediately regained some sense of superiority, and a big smile bloomed on his face. This was the happiest thing for the Jun family recently. After so many years, they had finally joined forces with the Xiao family. So what if they become a couple? Di Chuyuan's expression was indifferent. Aren't they still forced together because they can't get what they want? Jun Xuanxiao's expression stiffened. He naturally knew that Xiao Shou had a crush on Di Beichen. You can only find the right person after seeing through the other party. Do you really think that Xiao Shou, as the saint of the light, will fall in love with Di Beichen? Isn't it? Di Hongyun said matter-of-factly. I thought you had already seen through this. I didn't expect Elder Jun to be so blind. Jun Xianxiao, who was about to mock Di Hongyun, almost spat out a mouthful of blood when he heard Di Hongyun's words. This guy's words were too harsh. Di Hongyun didn't even give him a chance to refute. What was with this assertion? When Jun Lingxuan walked down from the flying instrument, his heart was extremely heavy. Although they were already in a bad situation when they went to the immortal cloud mystery realm, when they really returned, he really felt that it was difficult to face the family elders. Chapter 5170. After listening to Xiao Sou's comforting words, Jun Lingxuan nodded, but his mood did not calm down. He could not accept the departure of the others, but he could not accept the departure of Chu Shitao. Thinking of this, he wished he could kill Di Beichen and the others, but with his current ability, it would be good enough if he was not killed by them. This kind of frustration was simply indescribable. First Elder Jun, have you noticed that among the 10 cultivators of the Jun family, only Jun Lingxuan has appeared? Di Yunhe had been looking for the cultivators of the Jun family. After seeing most of the familiar figures, he was completely relieved. However, in the process of observation, he also noticed that apart from Jun Lingxuan, there were no other cultivators of the Jun family. Hearing Di Yunhe's words, Jun Xianxiao was slightly stunned. After taking a closer look, he was shocked to find that only Jun Lingxuan and the Xiao family's team had appeared. Apart from them, there was no one else. Where is the second young master? The second elder was stunned. Generally speaking, wherever the young master is, the second young master should be there. Everyone in the Jun family knew about the brotherhood between Jun Shitao and Jun Lingxuan. At this time, Jun Shitao would never be far away from Jun Lingxuan. Wait a little longer. Jun Xuanxiao's face darkened. For some reason, the bad premonition in his heart gradually deepened. Not long after, Di Xiaofeng and the others arrived in front of the elders. First elder, we are back. Looking at the members of the Jun family in front of them, Di Chuyuan and the others' faces were full of smiles. It's good that you are back safely. On the other side, Lin Xuanren, the first elder of the Lin family, also received Lin Taxing and the others with a happy face. Young master, why is there only Jun Lingxuan in the Jun family? Di Hengyun asked curiously. Almost as soon as Di Beichen and the others arrived, Di Hengyun could not help but ask the question in his heart. Hearing this, Di Beichen glanced at Jun Lingxuan, who was not far away, and said, it seems that he's the only one left from the Jun family's team. The elders of the Di family, the Lin family, and the Jun family were all stunned. Then, the members of the Di family and the Lin family all had mocking expressions on their faces. Great Elder Jun, it seems that the heavens haven't been unkind to you. At least one person has been left behind for you. Di Chuan chuckled as he recalled Jun Xuanxiao's smug look. The current situation was extremely ironic. Jun Xianxiao couldn't care less about Di Chuan's mockery. He couldn't believe this result. Because there were only a total of 10 slots. Those who entered the immortal cloud mystic realm, this time were the most outstanding disciples of their clans. However, only Jun Lingxuan had returned. This was a great loss for them. Di Beichen, Di Xiaofeng and the others looked at each other. If they had found a chance later, they would not have let Jun Lingxuan come back alive. Let's go back. After all the disciples of the Jun family had returned, Di Chuyuan was in a good mood and led everyone back to the elixir shop. He didn't need to say anything more. The situation of the Jun family was enough to give Jun Xianxiao a huge blow. At least, the Jun family could not be arrogant in the short term. Chapter 5171. Great Elder. Young Master, is what Di Beichen said before true? You are the only one who came back? Jun Xianxiao looked at Jun Lingxuan with burning eyes. This result was really unacceptable. Di Beichen said it already? Jun Lingxuan's face suddenly sank. I didn't expect this guy to be so hateful. He didn't have to think about it to know that Di Beichen must be mocking them when he said this. His hands clenched into fists, and his heart was burning with anger. After hearing Jun Xuanxiao's words, The elders of the Jun family immediately understood that everything Di Beichen said was true. Jun Xianxiao couldn't help but take 2 steps back. This news was really a big blow. Great Elder, are you okay? Looking at Jun Xuanxiao's pale face, Jun Lingxuan asked quickly. Jun Xianxiao waved his hand and said, "Forget it, let's go back first." After Xiao family's elder Xiao Jinfeng learned about the situation of the Jun family, his expression was also complicated. This situation was really too tragic. Fortunately, Jun Lingxuan came back safely. If Jun Lingxuan also lost his life in the Immortal Cloud secret realm, then their Xiao family really didn't know what the use of getting close to the Jun family was. Looking at the imposing Di family on the other side, he couldn't do anything no matter how helpless he was in his heart. At this point he could only accept it calmly. After returning to the elixir shop, the elders couldn't help but ask about what happened in the Immortal Cloud secret realm. Lin Qianqian and Lin Yi were naturally the first to stand up and began to talk about the situation inside vividly. Bailey Hongzhuang and others simply sat aside to drink tea and eat snacks. Anyway, this moment was most suitable for the 2 sisters to express themselves. Of course, the most active one was Lin Yi. The great elder and others listened to Lin Yi's vivid words, and a look of surprise appeared in their eyes. The situation in the Immortal Cloud secret realm is so dangerous? Di Chuyuan and others were also scared after learning about what happened in the Immortal Cloud secret realm. They really didn't expect the situation to be so dangerous. Thanks to second cousin and second cousin-in-law who turned the tide. If it weren't for them, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to come back alive. Even though it had been so long, Lin Yi still had a lingering fear when she mentioned it. The elders looked at each other and sighed in their hearts. This kind of situation was really beyond their expectations. Similarly, they did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's performance would be so outstanding. If it wasn't for everyone's occasional emphasis, they would have found it hard to believe that all this was true. At night, Di Xiaofeng, Di Beichen, and Bailey Hongzhuang went to the Bailey family's residence together. Now that the experience was over, they had to go back to the family first. Before leaving, they at least had to say goodbye to Bailey Yunyan. The great elder of the Bailey family was undoubtedly very surprised. Not to mention that their family's quota to enter the Immortal Cloud secret realm was given by the Di family. If it weren't for the Di family's protection this time, how could they come back safely after entering the Immortal Cloud secret realm with their ability? In fact, these days he had been worried. Many forces even believed that they would be annihilated. However, he never expected that all the family's children would come back safely. It was simply unimaginable. Chapter 5172. Young Masters D. Miss Bailey, you're here. Please come in, come in. Bailey Misong's face was full of smiles. Please sit here for a moment. I'll call Yun Yan over. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other 2 sat down with faint smiles on their faces. After this incident, their relationship with the Bailey family had become much closer. Big brother, from Elder Bailey's reaction, it seems like she can't wait for you to marry Yun Yan as soon as possible. Di Beichen's lips curved into a playful smile as he looked at Di Xiaofeng teasingly. Di Xiaofeng looked at Di Beichen helplessly. Are you that eager for me to find you a sister-in-law? I'm not the only one looking forward to it. The entire family is looking forward to it. Di Beichen chuckled. Still too soon. Yun Yan hasn't accepted my feelings for long. Aren't you afraid of scaring her? Di Xiaofeng smiled faintly. It was true that he liked Bailey Yun Yan. He also knew that with his status, the Bailey family definitely wouldn't object to this marriage. However, he wasn't an impulsive person. He liked Yun Yan, but at the same time he needed to give her some time together. If he rushed for quick success, he would lose more than he gained. Big brother is right. We have plenty of time anyway. There's no need to rush. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Beichen. Do you think I'm the same as you? Wife, when I pursued you I had to wait for a long time. Di Beichen spread out his hands with an innocent expression. I'm just worried for grandmother. The last time I left, grandmother secretly asked me about this. When she heard that Yun Yan would be here, she asked me to find a way to help you guys. Di Beichun smiled. It's your fault for not revealing anything. Otherwise, grandmother wouldn't be so curious. Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng finally understood. He felt even more helpless. I'll tell you when I get back. That's good. Di Beichun finally showed a satisfied expression. While they were talking, Bailey Union quickly rushed over. Why are you here? Her pretty face was filled with indescribable joy. This time in the immortal cloud secret realm, it could be said that she had spent the longest time with Di Xiaofeng. In the past, she had always been worried that her status wasn't good enough for Di Xiaofeng, and his family wouldn't agree. But fortunately, this situation hadn't happened yet, so she could quietly breathe a sigh of relief. Yun Yan. Seeing Bailey Yunyan's appearance, Di Xiaofeng stood up with a joyful smile on his handsome face. We're here to say goodbye. Since we're back, we naturally have to make a trip back to the clan. Bailey Yunyan nodded, but a trace of sadness flashed through her eyes. I understand. She was very clear that coming back meant that they had to part. Whether it was Di Xiaofeng or her, they both needed to go back to their families. However, when she was faced with it, she still felt a little sad. Because once they were separated, they didn't know when they would be able to meet again. We'll look for you in a few days, Di Xiaofeng quickly said. Hearing this, a trace of light appeared in Bailey Yunyan's eyes. Really? Chapter 5173. What's more, Hong Zhuang also has matters to attend to at the Bailey family. Di Xiaofeng smiled faintly. When you go back if you have time, can you help me check the genealogy? Bailey Yunyan turned to Bailey Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, don't worry. I'll definitely look into it when I go back. Then I'll have to trouble you. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Even if she already knew everything in her heart, it would be best if she could confirm it. What's so troublesome about this? Speaking of which, I've always been the one troubling you. If I can do something for you, I'll be the happiest. Bailey Yunyan's eyes shone with sincerity. She was truly grateful towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Oh right, what about Nangong Xiaolong? When will we bring him to see Miss Xi? Di Xiaofeng suddenly thought of this incomparably hateful fellow. Although he had already taught this fellow a lesson last time, he still felt unsatisfied. Of course, the most important thing was to untie the knot in Bailey Xi's heart. Hearing this, a trace of hesitation appeared on Bailey Yunyan's face. That's right, Xi isn't in the family right now. I'm afraid we won't be able to go for a while. Don't worry, the poison I gave Nangong Xiaolong won't take effect quickly. However, it's not possible for him to find someone to cure it. We can go back to the family first and deal with this matter later. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Her delicate and elegant face was filled with confidence. Big brother, you can go to the Nangong family later and let them know. As long as Nangong Xiaolong can't cure the poison when he goes back, he'll have to come to us in the end. The Nangong family's power is not small. I'm sure they'll try to find a doctor to cure the poison when they go back. Is there really no problem? Bailey Yunyan couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang. This was too difficult. Don't worry, if Hongzhuang says there's no problem, then there naturally won't be a problem. Di Beichun spoke up. Di Xiaofeng also completely believed Bailey Hongzhuang's words. He was very clear on how outstanding Bailey Hongzhuang's medical skills were. That's good. Bailey Yunyan let out a sigh of relief. I must make him kneel in front of Xi and apologize. If it wasn't for him, Xi wouldn't have become like this. Go back and talk about it. If possible, let Xi go back to the family. It's not good for her to be alone outside. Di Xiaofeng sighed. He couldn't help but sympathize with Bai Li Xi when he first met her. Bailey Yunyan nodded. I had the same plan. Actually, I didn't really want to chase Xi out. It was just that no matter how I asked her who the other party was, she wasn't willing to tell me. Of the two, the family's family. Now that everything has been revealed, I'm sure the family's head is worried about Xi. It would be best if we could bring Miss Xi back. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression relaxed. When the time comes, Let Nangong Xiaolong go to your family and apologize. Bailey Yunyan's eyes flashed with a strange light. That's right. That guy is so bad. He must be punished. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen didn't stay for long. They left early. Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan were going to separate tomorrow. Tonight, they naturally had to leave some space for themselves. Early the next morning, the Di family and the Lin family embarked on their return journey. Chapter 5174. The Di family. Di Linxian, Xia Wanrong, Di Yujue, Lin Yunqing, and the others had been looking forward to it. After not seeing each other for such a long time, they could not wait to see their own children. Beichen and the others have only just returned, and they've already gone to the immortal cloud's secret realm. I really miss him. Xia Wanrong's face was filled with emotion and anticipation. She was extremely satisfied with her precious grandson and granddaughter-in-law. They had been wandering outside for so many years, and she only hoped that they could stay at home more often. It would be good if she had the chance to see them more often. Looking at Xia Wanrong's anxious look, Di Linxian could not help but smile. Usually, you're always looking forward to Xiaofeng's return. Of course I'm looking forward to it too. Xia Wanrong's face was serious. It would be great if that little brat could bring back a granddaughter-in-law sooner. Otherwise, when Beichen has a child and we don't know where he is, that would be too unreasonable. Old woman, you're thinking too much. Di Linxian felt helpless. This woman's thoughts were really complicated. Isn't it because they always have to go out and train? I'm already so old now and I can't bear to see that. I also know that I can't control them if they want to go out. However, if they can give birth to a great-grandson, I can stay at home and take care of my great-grandson. Naturally, I won't miss them. That makes sense. Di Linxuan's face turned serious. When they return, I'll have to urge them. Di Yujue and Lin Yunqing listened to their parents' conversation, and a deep smile appeared in their eyes. Although they did not want to rush them, they would not mind if they could have a grandchild sooner. If Xiaofeng sees this, he'll probably have a headache again. Lin Yunqing laughed involuntarily. She knew Xiaofeng's temper the best. Every time this problem was brought up, Xiaofeng would always think of ways to avoid it. Of course, part of the reason was because of Yi. They all hoped that Xiaofeng could be together with Yi. However, the situation was not as good as they thought it would be. She was able to accept this. Young people valued relationships the most. If they couldn't be with the person they liked, it would be extremely difficult for them. It's all right. Leave this matter to father and mother. We don't have to worry about it. You sure are happy to be idle. Lin Yun glanced at Di Yujue, her eyes full of flirtatiousness. Di Yujue sighed inwardly. Even when his wife was glaring at him, she was still so dazzling. Fortunately, after so many years, the enmity between them had finally been resolved. Just as everyone was talking, the sound of footsteps came from not far away. They turned around and saw Di Xiaofeng and the others. When they saw that everyone was safe and sound, they were completely relieved. Di Beichen and the others noticed the figures of Di Yujue and the others from afar. Immediately, a joyful smile appeared on their faces. Grandfather, grandmother, father, mother. You're finally back. Xia Wanrong quickly greeted them and carefully looked at Di Beichen and the others. Are you hurt? You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.